Durbin drives it, and it'll go through the end zone. So here comes Trace McSorley, the sophomore who won the battle to be starting quarterback and brings an interesting skill set to this game.
He sure does. I think he's very comfortable with this system, his ability to run the ball, make quick decisions. He's got to compliment Saquon Barkley tonight in that zone read game. Quick reads. When he gets the ball out of his hands quickly, he's very accurate. And I honestly think he's going to have to take some shots downfield against Ohio State, who plays a lot of man-to-man coverage. He's got a great group of receivers. They've got to try to connect downfield. They average about 8 shots a game downfield.
How many can McSorley connect on? Meyer says this is the best group of receivers that he's faced in a while, not just this season.
I think another reason he wants to try to get the ball downfield is the battle in the trenches on paper favors the young Ohio State defensive line. They're really playing well these last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, a couple of freshmen at guard for Penn State. Barkley in the backfield. They fake it to him, and it is a run for McSorley. Comes out of Ashburn, Virginia. Quick guy, not overly physical. Here's your impact players from Chick-fil-A.
Well, you got to start with Saquon Barkley. We've talked a lot about him tonight. And also Paris Palmer, who is in starting at left tackle. He played a lot last year, had 11 starts, but with the injury to Andrew Nelson, he steps in at left tackle, and Brandon Mann moves from left over to right tackle.
On 2nd and 5, a delayed handoff, and Barkley's got room. Saquon Barkley barreling out near midfield. He had a breakout game against the Buckeyes last year in Columbus, 194 yards.
Just talked about man-to-man. Watch the linebacker Baker turn his back and run with the tight end. There's nobody left there because he's dropping back in coverage, concerned with the tight end. So getting through the initial surge of the Ohio State defensive line, all of a sudden it opened up for a very talented Saquon Barkley.
He got 19 on his first carry. He's got it again, trying to get the edge. Sam Hubbard did a good job forcing him out, and Jerome Baker was there as well.
Big part of this offense having success tonight and opportunities is when you run Barkley and you get McSorley involved in the running game, all of a sudden the Ohio State defense gets concerned about that. The linebackers, the safeties, and that opens up opportunities for play action pass to try to throw the ball downfield.
And there is a play action pass, and it's Mike Gesicki, the tight end. Gangly, dangerous receiver speeding down inside the Ohio State 30.
Just talk, Chris, about what running the ball can do, and watch the linebackers because they have to be aware and respect that. See how they both came up. You saw Raekwon McMillan and Chris Worley both come up. See 35, he hesitates, nobody behind him, and they do a good job again getting the ball out of McSorley's hands quickly for a quick throw.
Gesicki is a 6'6", former All-American in high school basketball and football. And now McSorley, he's kind of an elusive guy, weaving his way for a nice gain on first down.
Shows you what he can do, making the linebackers miss there. He is a lot like a point guard running out on a fast break in a basketball court, going up and down the court. That's his kind of game with his quickness in the open field.
Lions don't really play at high tempo. They line up quickly, but they did take plenty of time to make adjustments, and they often use a lot of the play clock. Pass far side, and Gesicki slips down after making the catch, and he'll lose 4 yards.
Well, they had a lot of momentum going back to what James Franklin told us on this drive. I mean, they had Ohio State back on their heels with that tempo and with attacking the way they were. All of a sudden, they slow down just for a moment, and all of a sudden they lose a few yards, and now they're 3rd and medium. This is where Ohio State will really crank up the pressure on that defensive line.
Yeah, 3rd down has been a nightmare for this offense all season long. 123rd in the country, converting at 27%. Barkley's in the slot to the right. McSorley trying to escape. He'll be brought down right at the line of scrimmage by Jalen Holmes, one of those speedy pass rushers off the edge. And a field goal attempt coming up here from Tyler Davis, who has been perfect this season. Kirk 10 for 10, made 18 in a row, and this would be a bonus for Franklin to get points out of the first drive.
Yeah, they moved the ball well there and had a second down play call just slowed them down. And when you put Ohio State's defensive line in a position on 3rd down, they're going to come after you. They're as good as you'll see.
This from 39 yards to give the Lions a quick lead. It's blocked. Ohio State blocks it. And the streak ends. Trying to pick it up and return it is Damon Webb, who's trying to get some blocks on the far side. A flag comes in on the return, and he'll be pushed out near the 30, but so much for 18 in a row by Tyler Davis.
It looked like a block in the back by Robert Landers, a defensive lineman, but first the block. Ohio State getting great penetration. Really low kick. Go back
on the return, personal foul.
See the hold here by Gula.
Return team number 67.
Oh, he got it down. It looked like it might not be able to do that, but he was able to get the hold down, but it looked like just a low kick.
Yeah, there's some precipitation. Looked like Gula had some trouble sort of handling that snap and getting the ball spun properly. So Penn State drives 54 yards, but comes up empty. And after the penalty, Ohio State will be backed up here. Sam?
Yeah, Chris, a sudden change in weather down here. They weren't anticipating rain tonight. They've been trying to find anything they can on the sidelines to cover stuff up. They just pulled out the jackets. We've also got wind swirling. So this is kind of out of nowhere. We'll see how much it affects things.
Is that an unwelcome surprise for you too as well?
Loudest part of it, obviously, right in front of that student section. Loudest part of the stadium.
Barrett and the tailback Mike Weber in the end zone. Trying to get the Lions to jump. They were disciplined, and in a short gain, Weber plowing forward. Actually turns it into a nice game behind that big O-line.
Good initial surge there. Urban Meyer and Ed Warner calling the plays. The offensive coordinator backed up near their own end zone, their goal line there, just making sure to be very efficient here. I think you're going to see more of Mike Weber. You know, last week he only had 11 carries against Wisconsin. I think you'll see that up to 20 to 25 tonight. Take some of the wear and tear off of JT Barrett in the running game.
That'd be a good idea. You feed him again, and he muscles near the marker. You're right, that could be very difficult to operate offensively. The student section down there, it is the loudest part of the stadium. This is where the poise of number 16 is so important.
Absolutely, and the tackles, Jones and Prince, they're looking in there.
Third and short, and Weber moves the sticks.
You practice this all week, dealing with the crowd, and we talked earlier, they've been in Norman, they've been to Madison, so they're used to dealing with it. You have a veteran quarterback that knows how to handle adversity. But as far as the snap count itself, those offensive tackles many times are out on an island where they can't hear anything, and they're looking down into the ball to be able to see when the ball is being snapped and having to look up and after the ball is snapped and react to the defense.
First keeper for Barrett, and he is swallowed up immediately, hit by Terrence Brown, defensive end.
This defense knows coming into this game that Ohio State has not had great success throwing the ball downfield. Their passing game the last few weeks has been more short to intermediate. So they want to take away the short to intermediate throws, and they really want to lock in on JT Barrett, Mike Weber, and Curtis Samuel in the running game.
Samuel in the slot to the left, empty backfield for Barrett on 2nd and 9, delivers a pass dropped. Noah Brown, the opposing receiver, couldn't come up with it. 3rd and 9 now.
He would have been short even if he was able to come up with this catch, but on a cold night, these receivers from Ohio State keep track of drops for both sides. We got to do a really good job of concentrating, being able to secure that football before worrying about taking off and running.
JT straight back from the pocket, crossing route. Dontre Wilson stretches, does not get first down yardage. Brandon Bell, the linebacker, again back from an injury, holds him out, and here comes a punt.
Yeah, you talked about Bell in the open, and he's one of the more instinctive linebackers they have. They've missed him, obviously, along with Kabinda these last 4 or 5 weeks. The leadership, if nothing else, and big there for the Penn State defense to get a 3 and out, or to get force the punt here and get the ball back to their offense.
John Reed back deep to receive the punt from the Aussie, perhaps the nation's best punter, Cam Johnston. Usually knocks it pretty high and pretty deep, and Reed did call the fair catch. And Penn State, after a impressive but ultimately unproductive opening drive goes back to work.
Very cool to hear that, and he's genuine when he says, I mean, those are guys he had been watching when he was in high school. It meant the world to him.
They fake it to him on first down. McSorley loops it downfield, and Gesicki, who has both catches so far for the Lions tonight, could not come up with it. Malik Hooker was assigned to guard him. That'll be an interesting matchup.
Absolutely. The tight end Gesicki at 6'6", 252 pounds, has a great catch radius. And whatever it takes tonight in this kind of game, right? Wide out.
Penn State, Ohio State, you should have some sod in the face mask in a game like this.
Yeah,
right?
he looks like he's not only the grass there, he might have got a little bit banged up.
He's not very physical. He's a lanky guy that is not built for blocking. McSorley, a late pitch off there. He goes to Chris Godwin, the receiver. So a little tricky play there from Joe Moorhead, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he's reading the end man on the line of scrimmage right here. This is his dive read. Once he makes this read, he decides, okay, he's committing down. He's going to pull out. Now, once he comes out here, now instead of pitching it, again, it's a lateral, but that is a form of a triple option in today's football.
They do play with the tempo here, and up-tempo throw far side. Godwin dropped it. Joe Moorhead, hired by Franklin to run the offense. He was at UConn for a while. He was the head coach at Fordham the last 4 years.
I think he fits in here perfectly when you talk to him, and he's got roots in Western PA, his family, and I think that was a big part of, you know, that James Franklin felt he was a right fit because he knew the community and knew the state, wants to be here, wants to be a part of the Nittany Lion family.
Totally different offensive system than last year. McSorley gets good protection and again looks for a tight end. That's Penn Coast in there with Gesicki out for the moment, and it's 3rd and 10.
If you've seen these first couple drives, one thing that you're seeing, that Gesicki in a lot of pain there. One thing that they're doing a good job of is with Ohio State's ability to rush the quarterback, they are getting him back and the ball is out. And not only is that important to give him time, it also happens to be when he's the most accurate is when he's back, one hitch, ball is out. He's going to usually throw the ball on the money.
So far, he's been able to keep the Ohio State pass rush away from him. They rush 4. McSorley chased and throws it away. It won't be all night they're going to be able to keep Bosa and company out of there, is it?
No, and when they get you to 3rd down, you're going to see Nick Bosa with Jalen Holmes, Sam Hubbard, and Tyquan Lewis. And look at the 4 of these guys. What a luxury to be able to win one-on-one battles up there, to be able to get, look at you're flushing the quarterback with just 4, and you still have 7 in coverage. Very, very few teams. Washington's doing that out in the Pac-12. Very few teams can do that on 3rd down without having to blitz.
Blake Gillikin is a freshman punter. He's been excellent this year. Was a real area of weakness last season for Penn State. He gets it away, and Wilson makes a fair catch at the 26-yard line. Leg looked at. That would be a blow to the Lions' offensive game plan if he cannot return. Second possession for Ohio State, and Weber is smacked in the backfield as Jason Kabinda, the middle backer who returns tonight with that hand bandaged up, made the stop.
Yeah, he's right here in the middle. Watch him shoot the gap. Nobody accounts for him. Times up that blitz perfectly. You can see the rest of the Penn State defense, Cawthorn 41 also involved there. But Kabinda, how refreshing for Penn State fans to see him back in the lineup and with that experience.
Yeah, he's the commander of that defense, isn't he? Injured a thumb in practice and has missed the last few games. On the option, Barrett. It's a Weber who's shoved out. That 1-yard loss on first down, he only has lost now a total of 3 yards rushing all season in almost 100 carries. That's mind-boggling how good the guys up front are blocking.
Yeah, absolutely. In this case, on this play, though, Chris, that play was just strung out against a Penn State defense that, even though they lost a lot of guys last year, especially that defensive line, this group has experience at the 2nd and 3rd level, and they can run. And when you're going to take that long on an option play, they're going to chase it down.
Weber Out wide to the right. Samuel in the slot. Barrett from the pocket on third down. Delivers to Marcus Baugh, but the tight end is going to be stopped short of the first down again. He was surrounded by Kabinda and company. Here comes a punt.
Again, you go back to the last couple of weeks with Ohio State's offense, not comfortable right now throwing the ball down the field. So Penn State knows that, and they're not threatened by it at this point. Until they are threatened by it, they're going to squeeze the underneath routes, let them throw it underneath, rally to the ball, and force the punt on third down.
The wind is blowing left to right, so Johnston tries to drive it pretty low, and that is a heck of a punt given the wind. Reed trying to escape, makes the first man miss, and is knocked down at the 25-yard line. Scoreless in a defensive-dominated first quarter here in Happy Valley. Cassidy, thank you. Sooners off to a good start. West Virginia looking impressive out of the Big 12 today.
Made a statement, yeah. Probably their best win of the year.
To the Lions from their 24. Feeds Saquon Barkley on first down, and he bounces it. Gets the edge. It's hard to do that against an Ohio State defense. McMillan was chasing him, but a nice gain.
Yeah, the tackle, Brandon Mann, actually made a really good block here on Sam Hubbard to be able to get him to the edge. Remember, Wisconsin had success getting to the edge on the jet sweep. C6 Hubbard, right tackle Mann does a good job of locking him up, and he's got the speed if you give him the edge to outrun the linebacker there, Jerome Baker.
Their best offensive lineman, Andrew Nelson, out for the season with a knee injury. So, man, if he can make blocks like that and fill in well, that would be good news for Penn State. McSorley keeps it, and he is wrestled down immediately by Hubbard. Third and short now.
Ohio State starting to tweak their attack and how they're defending that zone read look. That time they had two defenders, Sam Hubbard right in position to be able to take the quarterback, but they also had Baker, the outside linebacker, taking away Saquon Barkley. Nowhere to go there.
It's a long yard. Barkley motions back in to the right of McSorley. And they feed it to him. Barkley bursting into the secondary. Into Buckeye territory at the 40.
Chris, watch Gaia, the center, get up and make a big block right here. He's reading Hubbard, but it's the block by the center climbing up to McMillan that opens that up, along with a nice block by Mann, again, the right tackle. And all it takes is just a little bit of room. He's 225 pounds, but because he is so quick and has such great vision, he accelerates through there in a hurry.
Buckeyes defense done a great job this year at limiting explosive plays by opponents, but Barkley got 27, and Penn State's been making a couple big plays already. Play action. McSorley, a downfield shot. Loops it. DeAndre Tompkins in a jump ball, but it's broken up by Marshawn Lattimore.
I like the call by Joe Moorhead here. Have some success running. The Ohio State defense is thinking about stopping that running game. You get one-on-one on the outside, take a shot. It's your best vertical receiver in Tompkins. He's got to be able to fight Lattimore for that football, adjust back to it. Almost came up with a play, but Lattimore looks like he just got a hand on it, found the ball late there and knocked it away.
You're right, Kirk. Tompkins averages more than 18 yards on his 18 catches. He has been a downfield weapon. This is Miles Sanders. Fake the reverse. Can the freshman escape? He's in deep trouble, and he takes a big loss back into the Penn State side of the field. Jalen Holmes, Damon Webb, a whole bunch of white jerseys were around.
You know, Jalen Holmes doesn't get talked about enough, but I think his instincts, I think he just keeps getting better and better. At 6'5", 275 pounds, plays very athletic off the edge for his size. That time just did his job. Wasn't concerned about the reverse going back the other way. Had his responsibility, took away the play, and the freshman, after Holmes had him, retreated more and lost another 5 yards.
And now an all too familiar situation with this Lions offense. Third and very long. They need 20 yards here to keep the drive alive. McSorley buying time. He's a good runner. Needs a block or two and is going to be stopped at the Ohio State 40. He gets 10 yards back, but it's 4th and 10. James Franklin uses all these analytics. He says you should go for it on 4th down more than the coach's handbook says you should, but when they need 10, you think he's going to pin him back.
You know, Penn State now, the last couple times they've had the ball, they've had some big runs and gotten into Ohio State territory. And I think it's been a combination of just not quite going with the right play. Remember earlier on a second down, they slowed down the momentum on the previous drive, and it really affected that drive. This time they tried a double reverse. That play blows up on them, so they're forced to be in 3rd and long in both those situations.
So here's Gillikin. The freshman trying to knock the ball deep, drops the point, kicks it with backspin. It's a tricky night for returners, and it was muffed there. Buckeyes retain possession, but Dontre Wilson has had an adventure the last couple weeks fielding punts, Kirk.
Yeah, and with this win and his history of not necessarily always judging the ball that well, I'm surprised he continues to get opportunities back there returning punts for Ohio State, just because the most important thing is securing the football. He has big playability, but oftentimes it's a battle for him to come up with a football. Now we've seen that now the last 3 weeks.
How about Garyon Conley, the clutch starting corner who had a pick against Wisconsin, another one called back. He recovered that fumble, so the Buckeyes are backed up again, starting from the 8. Very poor field position for Ohio State in this first quarter, again in the loudest part of the stadium. Nothing for Weber in the middle. Again, that's Brandon Bell imposing himself.
It's a good point about the field position, because you're on the road. It's early in the game. One thing we've learned about Urban Meyer with this young football team is he tends to err on the side of caution when it comes to his play calling, when it comes to field position like this. They've already been somewhat conservative here in this first quarter, but now backed up inside the 10 again. You got to expect the running game and the quick throw from J.T. Barrett. I'm sure that's what the Lions defense is expecting.
Yeah, the crowd is howling. The wind is howling. A little rain falling. A lot for an offense to think about here on 2nd and 9. Lions show some pressure. They pick it up, flip it to Weber in the flat. And he is fighting for extra yards across the 15. It'll be 3rd and short. They brought some pressure against there at that time.
Yeah, they sure did. And Ohio State actually sent some receivers downfield to take some of the defenders with them intentionally, trying to just kind of clear it out and give Weber some room, but give Marcus Allen and the rest of that defense a lot of credit for being able to come in there and make a play. Again, Kabinda very, very active after missing the last month basically of playing with this team and being that leader.
They were saying maybe he can give us 40 snaps, maybe 25 for Bell. I'm thinking, come on, adrenaline kicks in. Those guys aren't coming out.
Right.
Those starters want to play the whole game. Barrett from the pocket escapes. Not for long, though, and there is Brandon Bell off the edge. He ain't playing 20 snaps tonight. He wants to make an impact.
Now, and the pressure again comes from the outside to the offensive tackle to the right. It's Sharif Miller, who's a freshman. Look how quick he is, and you see Bell get in there, but it was really Miller. With Sickles out here in this first half, Miller has had to play more, and it gives you an idea of what he can do there with his quickness.
Johnston again into the wind. The last one was 54 yards. This one not quite as good, but it's muffed. And the ball fought for, and Ohio State has cashed in the takeaway. Terry McLaurin, the receiver. We knew it would be a tough night for special teams, and that was an ill-advised attempt by John Reed there.
Yeah, the corner who is the punt return man, and McLaurin all over that. And you figured somebody's going to get a break here. With the way this game is going, with the field position, Ohio State's been backed up deep in their own territory, and it's a drop punt return that opens up the opportunity and gives Ohio State great field position now in or not deep, but in Penn State territory.
And after practice on Thursday, Reed was the last guy in the field working again and again, fielding punts out of the jugs machine, but it wasn't quite as windy as it is tonight. He's got to go back out there at the corner position, try to make a play to redeem himself.
Now, Curtis Samuel surprisingly doesn't have a touch yet. He's now in the slot right here.
Weber bounces it, gets blocks, stiff arm down inside the 20, hit out of bounds, and no flag, but an excellent run on Ohio State trying to cash in the takeaway in the red zone now.
That time Manny Bowen took a poor angle and run support. The outside linebacker took himself completely out of the play. You'll see 43 takes himself out. And then it's just a lot of room on the outside there, and Penn State almost a late hit there.
After a 23-yard gain, JT rolls out. Was very close to the line of scrimmage when he fires incomplete on the far side. There's 18 seconds now in the first quarter. I wondered which team on a difficult night would make that first mistake. Wilson almost made it for Ohio State, but Conley saved him. Reed's fumble setting up the Buckeyes here. 2nd and 10. And Samuel now in the backfield as Gesicki trots back to the sidelines, and the Buckeyes will be backed up 5 on a false start.
False start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty. We made 2nd down.
Michael Cannon is our referee.
See Billy Price, the veteran, coming over to talk to the true freshman Michael Jordan. It's nice to have Pat Elflein up there, the center, 65, and Billy Price with some inexperienced linemen around them. They kind of steady the ship along with JT Barrett, especially on the road.
Barrett from the pocket. Looks downfield, tried to get it to Samuel. There was some confusion in the coverage. He was open, but JT misfired.
Yeah, again, it's about trying to find the rhythm and timing. See, watch him kind of go in and then make his way back to the outside, and he kind of got held up there. And because he was held up, it didn't allow him to get to the outside where JT Barrett was anticipating him to be. And again, it's another example of just a little bit here, a little bit there with JT Barrett and his wide receivers in his passing game.
He's 3 of 6, but only 20 yards on those completions. And on 3rd and 15, Barrett looking again, flips it off short. This is Weber, and Weber is going to be tackled at the 15-yard line as the quarter winds down. Ohio State had scored in all 24 quarters so far this season, but they don't here. Field goal attempt will begin the 2nd quarter. Zeros on the scoreboard in Happy Valley. Back after this message and a word from your local ABC station. .22 yards and take the lead.
Yeah, I think Urban Meyer was a bit frustrated because he felt he had a chance for a touchdown. You saw him yelling at Paris Campbell. Let's go back to the 2nd down play, where you could see Paris Campbell to the far left is trying to clear out. His job is just to clear. Take the defender with you, and by doing that, it'll open up a huge hole to the outside. He was held, slowed down, gotten away at Curtis Samuel. See how he's being held there. He can't clear that defender. It affects the timing. And then Urban on the sideline lets Paris Campbell know you've got to clear that defender. Just small things like that, clearing a defender can open it up and make the throw from JT Barrett to Curtis Samuel accurate and probably a touchdown on that drive instead of a field goal.
You know, so many components of the passing game execution, and again, we're just not yet seeing it click.
But people wonder what's going on. Why is it missing? It's little things like that that's all it takes for you to be off by just a little bit. The difference between having to settle for a field goal or get a touchdown.
Ohio State will no doubt kick the ball to the left corner, and we'll see if Miles Sanders has a chance. Freshman from the 5. Very quick running back. He's a highly touted recruit out of the Pittsburgh area and making an impact as a returner. As you check back with Cassidy in the studio. .28-7.
That is shocking. I don't care if Houston's having an off day or not. That's it. How about Chad Morris and a mustache?
Does Houston SMU bring back any kind of memory for you on Saturday morning and college game day? Those were the teams.
I brought that up this morning.
One of Mr. Corso's finest moments. I know you did.
I forgot that was SMU.
Yeah.
Go Google that.
So now McSorley trying to reestablish the rhythm that was lost when Mike Gesicki, a tight end, went out for an injury. They fake it to Barkley. McSorley looking downfield, looping the ball high, and it's Tompkins who goes up and makes a nice catch. Now they say incomplete. Thought he had it. Hooker was in coverage, but couldn't quite collect it on a cold evening.
Boy, that was a great effort by both Tompkins and also the safety Hooker to separate the football. I think that's an interesting look there. Look at this effort here by Tompkins, the receiver. Well, that looks like a well, at the end he didn't complete the process of the catch.
He's still being looked at by the trainer. Dave Kataya is our rules expert. Dave, how do you see that one?
Well, right here, you can see him. He's going to the ground. When you go to the ground, you have to maintain possession. Here you go. He's got it there. When you hit the ground there, he's got to maintain it all the way through, and he doesn't.
I was going to say, Dave, complete the process of the catch. I think some fans see his shoulder hit. He still has the ball, but then it comes out. That's the incompletion.
Exactly. It's like a center fielder in baseball. Show me the ball.
Exactly.
If he'd held it a split second longer, impact was hard. His back to the ground, and he got up slowly and be helped off. They need to have Tompkins in there. Mike Gesicki, since he went out, Kirk, he had the 2 catches. McSorley hasn't completed a pass.
Well, if you look in the last few weeks, Gesicki and Tompkins have been a big part of the advancement of this passing game for Trace McSorley.
No other tight end on the Penn State roster besides Gesicki has a catch this season. McSorley keeps it, and the Buckeyes were all over him. Chris Worley and Sam Hubbard. It's 3rd and long.
Another defensive lineman, Draymond Jones, 86, another guy that you don't hear a lot about, but watch him being able to affect the timing here, just the penetration. Nobody does a good job of blocking him, and because he's able to get in there and have an effect, you have Sam Hubbard and Chris Worley and a host of other Buckeye players in there with great pursuit.
This is that offensive line nightmare. You got 4 defensive ends for the Buckeyes on the field, Kirk.
Here they come.
And they're also showing some pressure. They end up only rushing 4. Those 4 guys flush McSorley out. Long way to go. Was already across the line of scrimmage when he pump faked, and he's going to be stopped short of the first down by Jalen Holmes.
If Ohio State gets you to 3rd down, they've got obviously a great chance. Watch the pressure from the 4. What this does, kind of like Alabama has an ability to do this, it allows the other 7 in coverage. See McMillan? He's looking at the quarterback in case he's going to take off and run. Arnett, another nickelback, is in there. They don't have their backs turned and blitzing. They're playing zone and looking at McSorley as he takes off to scramble. Morality to the ball.
Wilson back to receive the punt of Gillikin. And it bounces, and Wilson's going to take up in the bounce. Another risky play. Garrett Taylor there to tackle him. And for the 3rd time, the Buckeyes are going to start in poor field position. It's an adventure with number 2 back there, isn't it? Northwestern visiting the Horseshoe at 3:30, and then in prime time, Nebraska still unbeaten after getting past pesky Purdue today. They visit Camp Randall. Buckeyes from the 11-yard line. James Franklin was very steamed in that timeout. He felt that the spot should have been back at the 8. That's where Wilson was tackled after fielding that on the hop. Barrett, as they pick up the pressure, has good protection all kinds of time, and now lobs it for Samuel down the sideline. He's still looking for his first touch, and that was overshot.
And I think that's where Ohio State is right now, probably the most confident in their passing game. I think it says a lot about what's frustrating Urban Meyer is when things break down, JT Barrett's ability to improvise, keep a play alive, and basically it's backyard football. He's trying to find out one of his guys on a scramble drill, break free. That time Samuel did, and he's just unable to find him.
Barrett 4 completions, but for just 24 yards, 4 of 8. Weber shows his strength and muscles for about 6. It'll be 3rd down.
This Penn State defense, Chris, you talked in the open about Brandon Bell coming back and Jason Kabenda. These guys have been very, very active, physical in the run, being able to come out there and make plays and set up this 3rd down.
Barrett flips it far side, and again Noah Brown cannot come up with it. Check it, it's Baugh, the tight end, and Marcus Allen, one of the hitters in that secondary. The safety delivered a shot.
Yeah, Allen leads his team in tackles. He's essentially an outside linebacker. Looks like we may have a flag down.
illegal substitution, defense. 12 men on the field when the ball was snapped. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Well, that's costly. James Franklin begs to differ. No wonder they look so active on defense.
You see these players trying to get off the field there. That's Manny Bowen. Yeah, he's right there, right at the sideline.
I think Franklin feels like that was a very marginal call.
And Penn State, Ohio State did not substitute, so the umpire did not step over the ball. Penn State rolling the dice there, trying to substitute.
Bowen could have been quicker to the sidelines.
Yes.
Let's see if that proves really costly. Moves the ball to the 22.
That was a punt.
Yeah.
They held him to having the punt there. So.
Deflating for a defense, huh? New series of downs. Weber spinning, fighting. Gets 11 yards and another first down.
Look how long that mesh point is with J.T. Barrett and Mike Weber. I mean, you see the zone read, but the great quarterbacks that run the zone read, they stay on that ride a long time with the quarterback to be able to make that read. Good job there with Weber.
Barrett keeps it. No gain. You're all over it, Kirk. You said that Weber's going to be a bigger part of the game plan, more of a workhorse tonight to take some of the load off Barrett.
And I think you and I have talked about that. I know Urban's expressed it. I think he's just these last couple of weeks with J.T. Barrett when things have gone sideways. 26 carries against Indiana, 21 on the road last week against Wisconsin. Weber's had to get more involved, and already tonight he's got 9 carries.
Barrett, again, excellent protection. Downfield and jump ball incomplete. That was James Clark, the intended receiver, and Grant Haley in coverage. 3rd and 10.
I mean, he's just throwing that up and hoping. There's not a. Think about where this Ohio State offense was early in the year. I mean, they were scoring almost every possession. They go into Norman, Oklahoma, which is a good football team in a tough environment, and they didn't just stumble into Norman. They put their foot down and attacked downfield to Noah Brown and ran the football and threw the football. And it's amazing to think 4 or 5 weeks later, this is the same offense that right now is just sputtering when it comes to this passing game.
They clock at 3. Barrett dodges the rush and delivers, broken up. Excellent coverage there. That's John Reed, who had the muff earlier. Makes a nice play to break it up, and here comes a punt.
He does a very good job at the top of this route. Watch him off to the right there. They're both fighting there, and at the very end does a good job of being able to get up there, keep McLaurin away from the football. Undersized, by the way, at 5'10", but does a good job, they say, with his ball skills and his quickness.
One of those cerebral players that brings the iPad with him to study tape all the time, and a guy who's tough on himself when he makes some mistakes. You know he's beating himself up about the mistake on the punt. Johnston, and this is Garrity replacing Sanders as the punt returner, and he's stopped after a short return after keeping an eye on Mike Gesicki hobbling around down there on the Penn State sideline.
Yeah, Chris, not good news if you're a Penn State fan. He came out of the locker room with that left ankle heavily taped, was trying to warm up on the sideline, could barely put any pressure on that left foot. If he does go back in, I'd say he's under 50%, has a hard time making cuts. I'm guessing we won't see him back out there tonight.
Well, thanks, Sam. That was the Malik Hooker. That was a play, got hurt, kind of kicked him inadvertently in the ankle there. Barkley is wrapped up and dropped for a loss on first down.
Another new name. This time it's Devon Hamilton, another freshman. This one out of Pickerington. Talked earlier about this defensive line really emerging as the strength of this defense. You knew about Tyquan Lewis and Sam Hubbard and Jalen Holmes coming in, but Michael Hill, Draymond Jones, Robert Landers, Nick Bosa, incredible depth considering they lost 3 starters to the NFL.
McSorley scampers free and shows his quickness. Moves the sticks for a first down. He's a guy who was a good lacrosse player, good basketball, good baseball player in Virginia. One of those kids that just grows up playing everything well.
Absolutely. And here, because of Saquon Barkley, the linebackers have to be aware of him in the center of coverage. What you love there about McSorley is recognizing right away to take off and go. Earlier this year, he was kind of holding the ball and waiting in the pocket. Now he's using his legs more and picking up big yards like that.
Keeps it there. They fake it to Barkley. The passing game is really struggling now, so imperative that they get Barkley going, quarterback runs to help the cause.
Yeah, well, and again, whether the weather was perfect tonight or not, Joe Moorhead knows that the best way to try to attack Ohio State's defense with that talented defensive line is spread them out, spread the linebackers out, and try to find some spacing there for McSorley to run it, along with obviously Saquon Barkley.
2nd and 7. McSorley tries to elude McMillan, and has to fire it. Nobody open on the sidelines. Godwin was well covered.
A rare all-out blitz there from Ohio State. They brought the pressure, and again, they have an advantage up front against this Penn State defensive line. Both these offenses here in this first half, Chris, struggling mightily on 3rd down. Ohio State is 1 of 6, and Penn State so far 1 of 5.
You look at the plays of 3rd and 8 or longer this year for Penn State. They had 30 of them coming into this game. That's just a humongous number. No wonder they're converting at 27% on 3rd down.
Right.
All those pass rushers in the game again on 3rd and 7. Play clock at 2. McSorley lofting the ball downfield. Deshaun Hamilton, again, very well covered. Some of the Lions fans wanted a flag. Damon Arnett, the backup corner, was there, and another punt coming up.
Ohio State locking him up in man-to-man, and Damon Arnett, there's another freshman. Keep saying that about Ohio State, but this is 3rd down, and you're like Ohio State's passing game. You just, when that's your execution, you're literally, that's a 10% chance that might come down and have a chance with the coverage and in these conditions, throwing it downfield.
That good, 10%. At best, maybe. Yellikin, and this is a fair catch made, and that's more like it. That's what they want Dontre Wilson to do. Just make the safe catch. Buckeyes back to work after a 47-year
winning streak to begin a tenure at his school. He won 25 straight at Yale. Who was the U.S. president when camp began that streak?
It's a theme, an election theme. Kirk, you want to take a swipe at that one? I happen to know the answer. I was tipped off. Would not have gotten it.
See what he's looking at there, potentially a blitz here from Reed. I don't know if they're adjusting that. Maybe Penn State calls that blitz off, but J.T. Barrett recognized that.
2 backs in the backfield, and it's Weber running right into heavy traffic on the left side. All right, Mr. Felica, throw it at us here. Who was the president?
We will answer today's Aflac Trivia question. The answer to the question about Walter Camp and his 25 straight road winning streak, was Grover Cleveland in 1888.
Do you know what was noteworthy about Grover Cleveland? Oh, there you go.
I was going to say
he served 2 non-consecutive terms.
I was going to say bonus question. Which term was it?
Fowler knows him.
It was the first term.
Open your wallet, Kirk. You'll see Grover's
yeah, right.
picture in there.
Say, that's why you're like, oh, of course.
2nd and 7. Barrett gets good protection and delivers to Samuel. Finally, Curtis Samuel gets a touch, gets involved, and gets across the 40.
I'm surprised Penn State let him get free underneath. They brought a blitz, and because the blitz came from the outside linebacker, J.T. Barrett does a good job of seeing that, getting the ball out quickly. And now Allen, the safety, has to try to make a play against probably the most explosive player in the Big Ten, and one of the most explosive in the Big Ten, and Curtis Samuel.
And it took him 24 plays tonight on offense before he finally gets a touch. 14-yard gain. And now Samuel motions over to the left side. Barrett running that way. Up, it's a reverse. Going to come back against the grain and knocked down for a loss. Kabinda was there in a hurry.
And Koa Farmer, also the outside linebacker, kind of found a home there at that outside linebacker spot. Watch 7 right here in the front. His job is not to let the fleet-footed Samuel outside of him. It's okay if he cuts back in because you can see there's 2 other jerseys there, but just can't let him get outside of you. And say that Farmer, who's a 4'4" guy, I mean, he can run.
Yep.
Been playing some safety, but he's kind of settled in there at outside linebacker with some of those injuries earlier.
Yeah, pressed into duty. Everybody who could even conceivably be a linebacker was moved to that position. Parker Cothran, the defensive tackle, is down on the field. You see that Jason Kabinda, I didn't notice it earlier, but he went in the locker room there, number 40, and he got Jack Ham's old neck brace, which was laying around. He put that, it's that kind of game. Like, brace up that neck for these collisions.
That is a great look. That only fits in this stadium.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think there might be an unwritten rule. If you're going to be a Penn State linebacker, you got to get that white
Jack
neck
Hammer?
brace.
It's like Suey's, maybe.
Paul Suey, you're going back days here. Well, what do you make of this? I mean, we came into the game wondering, could Ohio State get the pass game execution? Could Samuel get involved? And right now, just kind of a grinding 3-0 game for the Scarlet and Gray.
Yeah, it is. I think both teams are being a little cautious offensively. You do have some wind here. The conditions aren't bad enough where you should just be struggling that bad with the offense. I think both quarterbacks are waiting for an opportunity to be able to make a big play. But the passing game, the downfield passing game continues to be a thorn in the side for Urban Meyer and for Ohio State. So they got to come up with different ways to try to move the football.
The decisive plays so far in this game, a blocked field goal, a very low kick by Penn State's kicker Tyler Davis, and then a muffed punt by Reed, setting up a 22-yard field goal drive for Ohio State.
Again, J.T. Barrett recognized a potential threat there, this time from Farmer. 7. He's coming. Nope.
Barrett from the pocket dumps it off again to Weber. They've used that outlet pass pretty effectively tonight.
Mike Weber has to be thinking, thank goodness I'm back involved in getting my hands on the football. It's been a quiet couple of weeks for him. Think about the pressure, and Mike Weber loves it. He welcomes it. But the last 3 years, Ohio State, they've had Carlos Hyde go over 1,500. Zeke went over 1,814 the national championship year, 1,800 again last year. And now it's Mike Weber's chance to become that featured back.
Talk about big shoes and that legacy. Empty backfield on 3rd and 7. Barrett steps up and delivers a strike for a first down, and they get Samuel involved on this drive, his second catch, and they're at the 46 of Penn State.
Well, he does a good job of working and finding the area in the zone. See, right here he's covered, but watch him work back to the outside. There's the timing right there between J.T. Barrett and his receiver, Curtis Samuel. That was perfectly done.
You got 11 yards, a whistle before the play here. 11 yards, Kirk. That's only the second third down Ohio State's converted in 7 tries.
Important thing, the offensive line gave him time there to allow Samuel to work back
false start.
out.
Offense. Not all 11 men came set, resulting in a false start. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Big Peak will be in Tallahassee next Saturday night as Deshaun Watson and undefeated Clemson comes calling. Both teams off a bye today to rest up, get ready for that one. So 1st and 15 now. And motion Samuel out. Barrett looked that way. Now fires back to Brown on the right side, and he muscles for about 6 yards. What an imposing receiver he is. TV doesn't do this guy justice when you see him in person on the field.
Yeah, I mean, he's as physical of a receiver as you'll see. I mean, they list him at 218, but I think he's up near 225. And remember, he lost some weight a couple years ago, had the leg injury a year ago. He was ready to have a big year and fought his way back this year to become the featured receiver with all those wide receivers now into the NFL. And what he's become is that red zone target where he can outfight you for the football.
If you're Grant Haley lining up across him, you're giving away about 40 pounds of muscle there. Dart across the middle, and Wilson cannot collect it. Jason Cabinda was active again there. It's 3rd and long again.
Penn State's starting to bring some pressure. Cabinda out there leading the way, providing that leadership, making sure everybody's lined up, but they're starting to bring some edge pressure with these outside linebackers and safeties. That time it was Koa Farmer who disguised late and came from J.T. Barrett's left and really forced him to get rid of that football pretty quickly.
Very different Penn State defense that we've seen in recent weeks, having Cabinda and Bell back in there. And again, they're going without their best defensive lineman, Garrett Sickles, in this first half. Suspension, he'll come in after halftime.
Urban's going to call a timeout.
You know, if you're Penn State, I would think at this point you'd keep an eye on Curtis Samuel with a 3rd down and 8 play coming up after we step away briefly. They grew up in Ohio. They're students here, but they're still Buckeye loyal. Right in the middle of that whiteout in the student section. 3rd and 8 after the timeout. Empty backfield.
J.T. Barrett 5 of 6 on this drive after starting 4 of 10.
Lions back out, don't blitz, and Barrett has all day, flips it short. Paris Campbell makes the catch, fighting, but does not get first down yardage. 4th and 2.
That's perfect defense. Ohio State tried to look for receivers downfield. They took it away. They forced a throw underneath, and then they tried to chase the ball. Now it's going to set up Urban Meyer to take this chance here on 4th down.
Yeah, if they run a play here, they'll go on 4th down for the 13th time this season. They're 9 of 12.
Remember, quarterback draw, always an option here on 4th and short out of empty.
And now a whistle.
Penn State timeout.
Charge timeout. Penn State. They're first. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Brent Fryer's the defensive coordinator. They spotted something there that caused concern.
It's one of those things you want to make sure everybody is on the same page. Brent Pry taking over for Bob Shoop, who left to go to Tennessee as a defensive coordinator for the Volunteers. Make sure, again, there's a lot of things you prepare your defense for. There's a lot of things you talk about, but on a big play like this, it's worth that timeout. Make sure everybody's on the same page. Think about certain tendencies when Ohio State gets to that 3rd or 4th and short, what they're going to go to. Usually involves J.T. Barrett as a run threat.
This feels like an important play. Penn State could make a stand here and get the ball back a little time before halftime to try to get something going on offense. The Buckeyes, if they could reach the end zone on this drive, that would feel real big to go in double digits up. Barrett keeping all the way and makes the first down and a lot more down inside the 30. Predictable but tough to stop, Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's coming. This time Billy Price, watch the right guard come out, gets a nice kick out block. He just goes right underneath that block right there. You can also see the freshman Jordan climbing up to the linebacker there. So well executed by Ohio State there on 4th and short.
They are 10 of 13 converting 4th down this year now. Off inside, and Weber tries to bounce it, but he wrestled down after a short gain. He's getting a little feisty in there.
Ohio State trying to get a better push with that offensive line, with the double teams. You have Elflein and Price trying to get a push. On the left side, you have Jamarco Jones and Michael Jordan, but give Penn State some credit. You know, an undersized defensive line holding their own up there at the point of attack.
Barrett from the pocket. Flips it short. Ball to tight end. Just banging off people. Spinning, staying alive, and scoring. Touchdown, Ohio State. You deserve to flex after making a catch and run like that.
Going to take a peek at his feet. What an effort here by Ball. What a tremendous athlete. Inbounds there. Keep in mind, 6'5", 255 pounds. Spin move all the way into the end zone.
Junior out of California, did stay in bounds. Guys just bouncing off of him, would not be denied. His 2nd touchdown reception this season.
Remember last week at Madison, the catch he made when he went up into the air, spinning in midair and getting his feet down for a big catch?
Acrobatic move there.
Yeah.
Oh, the snap not handled cleanly, and the extra point is missed by Durbin. On a cold night, it's been tricky. Football perhaps a little bit wet, and Durbin not able to convert. Cam Johnson, the fine punter, was the holder there.
You're going to see action this way with Ohio State, and it forces the linebackers and even the safety back here to all come up. They're out of position. Allen, number 2, see how quickly they're coming up because of this action right here? And look how quickly he gets out behind the safety, makes it very easy. And the best thing that J.T. Barrett did was he saw it right away and quickly got the ball thrown out to Marcus Ball. Now that he makes the catch, he can lower his shoulder right there, take the hit from Haley, and now fight to try to get to the end zone. So great effort by the tight end. but great recognition by J.T. Barrett and a good job of getting the ball out quickly after those linebackers and safeties came downhill.
Yeah, we talked about Haley, the corner, who's given away about 70 pounds to the tight end. Tried to go low there. It didn't work. Here is the missed PAT. Again, Johnston, that was a pretty good snap. He couldn't handle it cleanly. Didn't get it down in time for Tyler Durbin. And the Buckeyes sitting on a 9-0 lead.
There's J.T. Barrett settling in, maybe 7 of 8 on that drive, 68 yards and the touchdown. Plus he had the 10-yard run on that 4th and 2. So
right.
A big drive there by J.T. Barrett.
And Ohio State, with the way their defense is playing, has command of things for the moment. Sanders shows his explosiveness and scoots out to the 30-yard line as we check back with Cassidy Hubbarth. So Penn State with McSorley struggling since those 2 early completions to Gesicki, who hasn't been able to return. He's 0 for 8. Barkley has been their best weapon, wrestled down after a short gain.
And what that does when you take away a target like Gesicki is it puts obviously even more on the running game of Barkley and McSorley, but it also, to me, it forces your passing game to change. Guys like Godwin, who have been around, and Hamilton and Tompkins, maybe some underneath routes, trying to challenge that man-to-man coverage, some rub routes.
There's a throw across the middle. That's Tom Pankos, the tight end, trying to fill in for Gesicki, but off his hands, and it's 3rd down again.
You know, I mean, and when you throw in the middle to a tight end, look how crowded this is. Look at this throw for McSorley. Look at the arms that are up there. I mean, he got it in there, but you're throwing it through a lot of different arms and bodies there to try to sneak it into a backup tight end who doesn't have a catch yet this year.
You think the backup tight end knows how good Malik Hooker is, now how hard he hits? He seemed to know it there. Hooker, a sophomore who's been a stud this season as a first-year starter.
Different look for Ohio State here on 3rd down. Instead of the 4, they're rushing 3 here.
They're showing pressure. They're definitely looking for a quarterback scramble. They're all over that. McSorley shows some of that moxie, actually escaped and made something out of it, but McMillan stops him short of the 1st down.
And watch the spin move by Jalen Holmes over here to the outside. He actually does a good job of fighting against Paris Palmer's spin right there. Now you're rushing 3, and now you've got linebackers. You have Baker and McMillan there in case McSorley takes off the scramble. You've got him bracketed, so he can't go left or right. You've got him corralled. There's nowhere for him to go once the 3-man rush got home.
He faked out Jerome Baker, but he couldn't quite escape the tackle of McMillan. Gillikin has been busy. Wilson has been as well. Collects that fair catch. Sunday, 10 Eastern, NFL Insiders over on ESPN with all the stuff you need to know. Inside stuff for your fantasy teams. And at 11 o'clock, Sunday NFL Countdown, right up to kickoff. On Monday night, Brock Osweiler and the Texans take on Von Miller and the Broncos. So Osweiler back against his former team at Mile High, 8:15 Eastern Time kickoff.
How are your Broncos looking this year?
Good start, as you know, a little rough patch, a couple losses, but it's going to go down to the wire in the AFC West, I think. Mentioned how good JT was on that last touchdown drive, throwing, clutch conversion, running on 4th down. Ohio State now a chance to add the lead. They will get the football to begin the 2nd half as well. Very, very important for Penn State's defense to get off the field without allowing more points on this possession. And Barrett for Baugh. That time they were all over him. It's incomplete.
You know, the greatest thing you could probably say about J.T. Barrett is after 3 years of starting experience, when things aren't going well and you're on the road as a head coach or as a play caller, you look out there and you're essentially looking at an offensive coordinator. Of every quarterback in the country out there, the one guy that's going to be able to give you a chance to be able to execute your system and not be affected by what's happening or the conditions or the atmosphere is J.T. Barrett.
How about his performance here 2 years ago in the overtime win over Penn State? Barrett takes off again and is knocked down. That was when Barrett showed everything he's about: toughness, leadership, poise, resilience.
That's really when his legend began as a leader. He fought through a second-degree MCL sprain. Game went into overtime. Penn State they had the momentum going into overtime, and he fought through those 2 overtimes. And I've talked with Urban Meyer and some of the players on that team. They said Ohio State ended up winning that game. Joey Bosa had a sack in overtime. The locker room after the game, they said, was emotional. Guys were crying and hugging each other. They said that was the turning point that night in this stadium for their national championship run.
Barrett needs 4 on this 3rd down. He has good protection and delivers. That's Samuel with a little cushion there. 1st down out near midfield.
It's the exact same route that they ran earlier. Remember, they ran it to the right on a 3rd down. This time they're going to run it off to the left here. Again, see how Samuel's stuck here? Works to the outside again. Comfortable, has time, throws it to the outside in between the corner and the linebacker. Nice little window there, and a good feel from Curtis Samuel, guy that plays running back and wide receiver. Some good instincts there as a wide receiver to find that hole.
So still no deep downfield shots, but real efficiency from Ohio State's passing game at the moment. Lions bring some pressure. Barrett still escapes. Are you kidding me? J.T. Barrett galloping free, dives down near the 30. They had him wrapped up and he refused to go down.
How did Windsor 54 miss it? I mean, they're bringing everybody. Windsor's right there. He has him. It looked like Schwann had him. The outside linebackers have him. Brandon Smith has him. Not only does he escape a loss, he picks up huge yards, and now they're moving the football.
19-yard gain in what should have been a loss. That could be a crushing blow to a Penn State defense that could not corral the quarterback there.
The ruling on the field was that the runner was not down. The previous play is under further review. There is no charge timeout.
Let's spin this back, Dave Kataya, and see if Barrett did stay alive. Of course, anything other than the hands or the feet touch the ground, you're down.
Exactly. And touching the ball on the ground, you're not down. Let's take a look at it right here.
I think see the ball.
All right, ball's good. Ball, he's still up right now.
Okay.
He used the ball to keep his balance there and stay alive. Incredible.
It's a great look at it there.
Franklin was hoping that they blew the call.
The only thing that touched is the ball.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, he's live unless something other than the hand or foot or ball touches the ground.
We'll give Jim Kemmerling
After review,
another
the
look.
ruling on the field is confirmed. 1st down.
Replay official tonight. He was backed in way back in the Herb Street era. Big Ten football, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jim Kimmerling, great guy, great official. Big Ten, love him.
Pretty easy call for Jim and the guys there. Should have been a 10-yard loss, Kurt. 19-yard gain, a massive play inside of 2 minutes before halftime now.
Another example of J.T. Barrett. Maybe it doesn't always show up, and if you didn't watch this game, you might not know. You talk about a big play in this game, especially if they go down and end up getting points on this drive.
Barrett again from the pocket and fires downfield just before he's going to get tackled, and Terry McLaurin, the receiver, makes the catch down inside the 15.
Wow, what an effort to not give up on the play, and watch the recognition here as J.T. Barrett is falling. He's going to look right there and see a defender that time, Manny Bowen, coming up. As he goes down, 43's coming up. That frees up McLaurin behind him. Recognition as he's falling, makes the throw.
Buckeyes trying to punch it in here. Pump fake from Barrett. Now flips it short for Weber, who drops it. It takes more than a jersey grab to bring JT down, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Has great lower body strength. That time just working his progressions. He started left with a pump fake, works from the left to the middle to the right to finally checking it down to Mike Weber. Using his eyes and using his shoulders to try to impact the safeties and linebackers. try to freeze him to give his receiver a little bit more room to work with.
Talking about a guy that has more than 2,000 career rushing yards, more than 5,000 career passing yards, 21-2 as a starting quarterback. 2nd and 10. Samuel motions out. Barrett again escapes and now just fires it into the ground. Crowd wants intentional grounding. Manny Bowen that time was able to influence the throw.
He had a receiver there, his tight end in that area.
There is no intentional grounding on the play. There was a receiver in the area. 3rd down.
It's an interesting call here for Urban Meyer on 3rd down. Remember, I showed you Noah Brown the last play. He's been very effective for Ohio State this year in the red zone. He's going to be up at the top, and next to him might be their next best target, Marcus Ball, the big tight end who's already scored a touchdown.
They featured the backs and the tight end Ball with the touchdown. Not really the wide receivers so far tonight. Pressure. Barrett delivers, and that was a misfire. Was behind Baugh, who was running a post there. It's 4th and 10.
Yeah, they timed up a blitz very, very well there. They brought Brendan Bell. Chris, you talked about him throughout this entire first half, what he's meant, but he timed it up very, very well and forced J.T. Barrett to get the ball out quickly. He's trying to go to his receiver, the tight end, into the inside ball, and because of that blitz, he just had to get rid of the football.
So Durbin made it earlier from 33. This from 30. And drives it right through. So Ohio State moves it 58 yards, 9 plays, and adds to the lead here, 12-0 with 1:14 before halftime. Capital One halftime report. Stan Barrett, Mark May, Matt Brown in the Toasty studio. Scores and highlights. You might even wedge in a baseball score, Kirk. The Cubs up 4-0. Bottom of the 5th in Wrigley, trying to close out the Dodgers and go to the World Series. Keep an eye on that in here.
I'm pulling.
You don't mind?
I'm a Reds fan. I'm a National League guy. I like to see the Cubs win.
I would too. As an Illinois native, yeah, I'm just fine with that. Well, the passing game has been a huge struggle for McSorley tonight. Just 2 of 11, 1:14 before halftime. Mindful of the fact that Ohio State will get the football to begin the second half. Lions will need a rally similar to the one that we talked about in the game 2 years ago when they got back into it after a scoreless first half and were able to eventually force overtime. Sanders charges up and takes it at the 11 and works his way across the 25.
Think about it, a little over a minute here with a couple timeouts, what the strategy might be for Penn State. Look at what they've done here. They had some success in their first, maybe 2 of their first 3 drives, but the last 3 drives have not gone well at all. In fact, their last 11 plays, they've had 27 yards, and McSorley's missing his last 4 passes. So your Joe Moorhead and your James Franklin, as much as you'd like at least maybe a field goal, the offense has not been executing here these last 3 or 4 possessions very well. And you don't want to make another potential mistake and give the ball back to Ohio State.
Barkley has carried it just 6 times. He's in the slot to the right of McSorley. Motions back in. They fake it to him. Quarterback rolling out. Nobody open and scampers for a 2-yard gain. Talked about the game here in 2014 when the heroics of Barrett eventually won it. It was a defensive play and helped the Lions rally from 17-0, a defensive touchdown.
Interesting that McSorley was looking to throw right, ends up going out of bounds. It becomes a pivotal play here for both these teams, with Ohio State also having 2 timeouts left.
Barkley has to sidestep traffic in the backfield as Gary and Conley came off the corner very quick and blew the play up. Hubbard on the tackle.
Yeah, Urban Meyer may be thinking about seeing how this half ends. He's going to let the, I guess, going to let the clock continue down.
He's got 2 timeouts to work with. Certainly would have a little time and force a punt here, a chance to add to the lead. Here's the flashback again. It was a wideout. Ohio State undaunted, jumped to a lead, and finally Penn State was able to force overtime. And he said, forget about my bum knee. You just keep calling QB runs, and I'll get you the win. And then Bosa with the sack here of Hackenberg to close it out.
You can see at the beginning of that celebration, and I think, again, for the teammates of J.T. Barrett, they really learned a lot about him. In that first year, of course, that was the year that Braxton Miller went down with the injury in camp.
Trainers, Kirk, we're looking at Saquon Barkley there. He took a shot on the last play. You need number 26 to be healthy and good to go to have any chance of mounting a comeback. Here's what happened here. He took a shot in the dog. That's Bosa coming up and hitting him in the back of the head. Nick picking up where his brother left off and wearing the same number, of course. 3 sacks already this season for the younger Bosa. All right, 3rd and 8. It was Penn State that spent a timeout there, not Ohio State. And McSorley from the pocket fires complete. Godwin has a first down and the first completion in a long time. Lions in business now in midfield.
Yeah, and they get the ball behind the linebackers. First time we've seen them have that chance to give him time to throw and to get a receiver coming across the middle behind the linebacker, McMillan.
At 19 yards, that's the first completion to someone other than Gesicki. He's out. McSorley cannot escape. He will be dropped for a short loss. Bosa and Robert Landers was there, another one of those freshmen.
Yeah, a couple freshmen there. And that pocket just collapsed, and that's when they rush 4. That's what they have an ability to do. Robert Landers.
Excuse me, Kirk. The Lions going to spend their final timeout here with 29 seconds. And a ways to go to get into field goal range for Tyler Davis on a night like this. We'll probably have to move the ball about another 25 yards to feel good about it. Perhaps they try a long one if they could move it 20. Ohio State took a while again to get the passing game going. Hasn't been a super productive offensive night in all areas, but the defense travels, and it has again tonight.
It sure has. And you know, that reception by Godwin was the first reception of the night from the wide receivers.
Yeah.
And they've got a pretty darn good group of receivers that have played in some big games, including against Ohio State. They just haven't been able to shake free from the Ohio State coverage.
Barkley's okay. He's in the game, blocking the blitz as McSorley runs for his life and loops it downfield. And the catch is made down near the 20-yard line. That is Deshaun Hamilton and his first catch of the night.
Yeah, the junior out of Virginia has great quickness, and this is just adjusting to the ball, and Damon Arnett, the freshman, not quite recognizing where that football was and adjusting back late. But give Hamilton all the credit in the world there, and also McSorley for just putting it up away towards the sideline, where only Deshaun Hamilton really had a chance there to get to the football.
So 2 long completions after a bunch of empty pass attempts for McSorley. Move the ball to the red zone here. 21 seconds, no timeouts. Can't afford a sack. McSorley, end zone. Barkley leaping, but broken up. Raekwon McMillan. Those are 2 future NFL players matched up head to head there, huh?
Yeah, and you think about, usually you see a big running back like Barkley at 225 and McMillan at 245. You see him in the middle. This is basically a wheel route after he came in motion all the way down the field, but shows you the athletic ability from Raekwon McMillan. Chris, you brought up a good point. Without any timeouts, be very, very important for Penn State to be smart here with 15 seconds, working the sidelines. Of course, if they can get to the 10-yard line, they can pick up a first down to stop the clock. But this is where McSorley has to be efficient and smart.
Play action. He's going to take a shot for the end zone again. Jump ball. Godwin's got a touchdown. Penn State. And a Penn State passing game that had been in a deep freeze for more than a quarter comes alive on that drive. How enormous was that throw and catch with 9 seconds to go before halftime. Tyler Davis adds the conversion. Wow.
Chris, Ohio State has a lot of confidence in Garyon Conley. They leave him right here one-on-one. You see a safety, Hooker, but he actually comes up because of the action to the running back, Barkley. So they're going to leave him one-on-one up to the top. Now you just got to put it up and away. I'll tell you, Garyon Conley, I think he looked up and found the football, but I think you got to give Godwin a lot of credit. He used his arms, and the position of the football gave Godwin a chance to come back, kind of that back shoulder, be able to go up and make a play on the football. So the fact that it was underthrown just a bit gives Godwin a chance to come back right there to make the catch.
Good look on the progressive pylon cam. Got to win battles. How many times do we hear that from coaches in the meetings? And that was a battle finally won by Penn State. And McSorley, Kirk, on the drive. After all the troubles we talked about with Gesicki out hurt, 3 of 4, 73 in the touch. It was 2 of 11 coming into that drive.
Those stats sound great, but Godwin has a lot to do with 2 of those big receptions. I mean, adjusting to the football, going up and making a play. And Penn State's coaches told us, listen, it's hard to drive the ball against this Ohio State defense. We've got to take some shots downfield, and our receivers are going to have to win one-on-one catches. And until this drive, their receivers didn't have a reception on the entire night.
Joey Julius kind of pooches it along, and the return out to the 40-yard line made by Joe Berger, the linebacker, a chance to touch the football in there. The kicker, tackler, he's aggressive. He got smoked there. He's a guy that loves to come down and knock people down making tackles, but he's been targeted literally by teams in the recent games.
Yeah, he's a big guy who can be very physical when he's covering his own kickoffs.
Yeah, kind of a nose tackle who kicks.
Now, this is what he has quite a reputation for hitting people, and when you're looking at Penn State, look at that. I mean, he's knocking guys out.
Peppers made a business decision.
Then it changes.
Make a block.
Then special teams start to look at the film and they say, okay, 99, he's in play. He's not a regular kicker.
Waters was later thrown out of the game for targeting Julius, not on that play, but on another one. And then Maryland got thrown out for unsportsmanlike conduct. And Penn State is going to go to the locker room down only 5 after the Buckeyes have put together a couple productive drives. There were little tempers flaring at the end of that half. They get the guys separated now. 12-7 Ohio State. Halftime here. The Capital One halftime report is coming up, and Sam, will seems miscues also played a part as well.
I think the score for Penn State at the end of the half is obviously huge to give them some momentum going in. Ohio State, because Penn State elected to take the ball in the opening coin toss, Ohio State gets the ball to start this second half, and I think how they attack and how they create some momentum of their own here to start the second half will be very big. But the touchdown makes it an interesting game as we get ready here for the second half.
Barrett, 13 pass completions in the first half out of 24 attempts. Also ran it 6 times at a big 4th down conversion. Mike Weber had 60 yards rushing. The good news is that Mike Gesicki, the excellent receiving tight end for Penn State, who left with an ankle injury, appears to be good to go. They've wrapped that thing up, and he's trying to get back involved in this game. Harris Campbell close to breaking it, and that kicker, the big fella Joey Julius, down to contribute to the tackle. Kirk,
big fella getting down there and actually helped prevent that from becoming a big return from Campbell. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary, and a couple miscues early for Penn State. They had a missed field goal. They had a muff punt. It led to only 3 points for Ohio State, but then J.T. Barrett kind of found his rhythm. This is a big conversion to be able to keep a drive alive. 2 plays later, he finds the big tight end Marcus Ball for a touchdown to give the Buckeyes the lead. But as we just talked about, right before the half, McSorley, 7 plays, 74 yards, and a big touchdown there to end that first half.
Total yards, this is kind of surprising because it feels like Ohio State's more dominant. Only had 15 more total yards in the first half than Penn State. Option look to Weber. And let's take another look at the tackle on the second half kickoff. Big 99 at 260 pounds, getting down there and making his impact felt there on Campbell. share of the tackle anyway.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, he has a history of being a great athlete growing up and likes to get involved. I mean, he loves to get involved on kickoff coverage. He's done it all year.
He's gone public recently about his battles with an eating disorder, working hard to cut down his weight. Weber got 6 on that first down carry. Again, the option pitch. That time he'll be hit for a loss. Manny Bowen, the linebacker, wrapped him up. Third down.
When you're Manny Bowen and you can stop the quarterback and then also he's trying to pitch off of Bowen, but he is so athletic. Bowen takes Barrett and he gets out and gets involved in making the tackle. So Bowen makes the play, but Grant Haley, the corner, also getting off of a block. So that play, the option, didn't have a chance there for Barrett and the Buckeyes. Well played by Bowen.
He rotates out now on 3rd and 7. 3 receivers to the left for Barrett. And JT pressured. That time he cannot escape. Evan Schwan and Garrett Sickles, who's back after sitting out the first half suspended. Instant impact, Kirk.
That's right. Sickles on the left, Schwan on the right, and this time the pocket collapsing on JT Barrett. Chris, you said Sickles wasn't able to play in the first half, but look at the difference in quickness from Sickles on that side and Schwan together, especially on 3rd down.
That's the first sack for the Lions. Barrett was really untroubled by the rush in the first half. Johnston drives a low punt, bouncing around, and Greg Garrity fields it, escapes briefly, and is dragged down at the 40. Sam?
Yeah, Chris, I was not surprised to see what happened on that last drive, because when I talked to James Franklin coming back onto the field, that's what he told me they were going to do, is bring as much pressure as possible against JT Barrett, and of course they got after it really quick. Offensively, he said even with the injuries, he feels good throwing the ball down the field, as we saw in the last drive of the first half, and he feels like as long as they can come down with those 50-50 balls, they've got a good chance in this one tonight.
Good stuff, Sam. And there is Gesicki. After some treatment at halftime, back out there, flexed to the right. McSorley pulls it and has room and scoots into Ohio State territory at the 45-yard line.
Well, he is reading Sam Hubbard on the zone read right here. He collapses down, and there's nobody to the outside. The safety, Malik Hooker, also got caught inside. So when he pulled that off of his read of Hubbard, the only guy there is the corner, Lattimore, after a big gain.
He got 16. And in tough conditions, because the rain is falling more than it has, still swirling around in here. Hesitation, some confusion, gets back to the line of scrimmage before Lattimore, the corner, stops him.
Yeah, that play didn't have much of a chance. Lattimore on a corner blitz blew that play up, but it just looked like there was something not quite right with McSorley and the timing of that play. His right guard, McGovern, was pulling, but no chance.
It's a key play, Kirk, because a couple times in the first half, Lions drove into Buckeye territory, then drives would stall with negative plays like that to kind of ruin the momentum. See what they can do on 2nd and 10. Shorely flips it and way over the head of Godwin, who was bracketed over there.
Yeah, this time they bring another blitz from the boundary. Marshawn Lattimore, the sophomore corner, they brought that blitz and it freed up the receiver, but I don't think McSorley felt it or saw it until it was a little bit too late.
So now one of those dreaded 3rd and long plays. Lions 2 of 8 on 1st down. That's about right at their season percentage of 27 converting 3rd downs. Gesicki stays in the block, then releases. McSorley steps up and fires over the head of his receiver, Saeed Blacknell, and it's 4th down.
Tough to execute on 3rd down against this defense. They actually did a pretty good job of giving him some time to throw, but give credit to the coverage downfield. Penn State not able to find any open receiver because of the Buckeyes' man-to-man coverage.
Blake Gillikin, the freshman, will again try to pin back Ohio State, give the Buckeyes poor field position one more time. Wilson watches it sail out of bounds. And they'll move up and spot the ball at the 18-yard line as Barrett and company go back to work, up 5. Kirk, my very first college football game. Witnessed it in person right here. The place looked a lot different back then.
That's pretty cool. You went to a high school game today, or this weekend as well.
My old school district there. Barrett on the keeper. The Little Lions, undefeated this year, knocking off Harrisburg, a team that featured a couple of future Penn State commits. Little Lions moving to 8-0.
When was the last time you had been in that high school
76.
football? 76. That's cool.
I didn't do much high school football in the game day. I was down,
man.
I had a blast. It was fun. It was a thriller.
Good for you.
But who knows? I don't watch that game in '74. If it's not as compelling as it was, I don't know if I'm sitting next to you. And it's a thrill to call a game here from the first time with you. JT and Samuel collecting it. It'll be 3rd and 2. Brandon Bell, big impact tonight in his welcome back game off the injury.
Curtis Samuel continues to be the guy that JT Barrett knows he can count on to be able to find those openings in that zone between those linebackers and those safeties.
See if Barrett can convert one more time. They only need 2 here. So tough to stop the Buckeyes in these situations. Samuel running right, cuts it back. Curtis Samuel in the clear. A foot race. They will not catch him, and the Buckeyes strike quickly early 3rd quarter. 74 yards.
Chris, one of the things that Zeke Elliott left was his ability to block, not just run. Watch Mike Weber here lead the way right there and set that up, that alley. That was Jason Kabinda who was trying to fill the hole, and it was Mike Weber who blew it up and opened it up for Curtis Samuel with that great speed.
That was his first carry tonight. 5 catches in the first half. It took him about 24 plays before they got number 4 involved tonight, but now he's made a huge impact, and Ohio State has stretched the lead back to 12 points.
And if Zeke Elliott is sitting down on Dallas at home tonight, he's got to be proud, because that's one of the things that he prided himself on, was playing physical without the ball in his hands, and that's what Weber did there to open it up for Curtis Samuel for a huge showing up.
Like you always say, nobody gave Penn State a chance for about a month, right?
Yep. They were tired of hearing about it. What was it, 5 interceptions by Vinny?
Pete Giftopoulos making the one to secure it down in the red zone. But Ohio State striking quickly to quiet down a crowd that was pretty raucous after the Lions had gotten on the board late 2nd quarter. 3 plays to cover 82, the 74-yard, Ohio State's longest run of the season, and the longest play Penn State had given up this year. Sanders from his goal line finds a little crease, and he's going to be a promising running back and returner in his career. The freshman shows you his skills.
Chris, let's go back to that touchdown. And again, nice run by Curtis Samuel, but 25, Mike Weber right there with the big block on Kabinda. We'll give you another look right here from the other side, just really lowering a boom there and opening it up. And you can see once he made that block, it was like everything opened up. They sold out to stop him there on that short yardage play.
And the Lions answer now. They try to feed their stud back, but Saquon Barkley is swarmed under immediately there. Jerome Baker was there. Robert Landers, again, the freshman tackle, disrupted it in the middle.
Again, this is where Landers can make a play. Look at him in the middle, how quick he is. I mean, he's listed at 6'1". He's got to be 5'10". They can't block him because he's so short and quick.
And out of Dayton, ready for big-time football immediately. He's a true freshman. Nick Sorley thought about a screen. It wasn't there, and now will be dropped for a short loss by Jalen Holmes and another freshman. Of course, Nick Bosa has made an impact tonight
Landers actually forces him to step out away from the pocket. So you have freshman Bosa, but you also have Landers involved again. This is a point in the game at 19-7. You're on the road. Ohio State's talked all week about how tough it is. Urban Meyer is as good as there is at knowing when there's an opportunity to capture a football game, and I think he feels that after that long touchdown run, the crowd is out of the game. Big opportunity here for his defense to try to get the ball back to J.T. Barrett.
Sorley, short pass in and out of the hands of Deshaun Hamilton. Lions will punt. That's a great point. You feel that Urban does it as well as any coach, maybe better than most, just sensing momentum.
Yep, he could feel it. I mean, remember, Penn State scored at the end of the half. Crowd is back into the game. It's 12-7. Penn State's believing. Ohio State gets the big run by Curtis Samuel to get their offense going. I guarantee his message to that defense was, go out there, get a 3 and out. Let's try to kill the will.
Gilligan has it snapped way over his head, and the freshman has to give chase. He falls on it to prevent a touchdown, but it'll be a safety for Ohio State and another special teams miscue tonight by the Lions.
Well, that never had a chance. Ball went right over top of him. He never even touched the football. Just sailed.
Tyler Yazujian is a really reliable long snapper normally, but he airmailed it. Gilligan did a nice job to at least, you know, prevent a touchdown there. It was a 5-point play to recover it.
Yeah, for a true freshman to have to jump on that ball before the fleet-footed Terry McLaurin rather is able to get on top of it, saves his team giving up a touchdown there.
So the Buckeyes an unusual 21 points, but you talked about the momentum, and now they'll have to kick it away. And the Penn State defense, you feel like, almost has to come up with a stop here to get the ball back. If Ohio State builds this lead, it'll be tough.
You saw a shot there at J.T. Barrett. What I just talked about with Urban Meyer, that trickles down to the leaders of this team. These guys that played, the leaders like J.T. Barrett and Raekwon McMillan, Pat Elflein, they understand too. It's not just the coaches, so they're communicating. See him right there, right now. He's saying the exact same thing that we're talking about.
Blocked field goal, muffed punt, and now an airmailed snap resulting in a safety for Penn State special teams tonight. Not what they needed. Paris Campbell takes the free kick, and he gets some momentum before being dragged down at the 40-yard line. A flag comes in on the return. Or is it not a flag? Oh, it was a shoe came flying out, a white shoe, not a yellow flag. Excuse me, to Cassidy Hubbard in the studio. Thank you, Cassidy. Update from Wrigley, by the way, 5-0 Cubs trying to close out the NLCS and the Dodgers tonight. So the Buckeyes with great field position, Kirk, and what is a really important moment in this game. Can they build even more momentum and build the lead? Hit in the backfield, and is Weber. Nice penetration by Sharif Miller, a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, I think A.J. Alexander may have missed an assignment there. Backup tight end. Just a freshman out of Burke, Virginia. Coming around there and just missed a block there on Sharif Miller. Made it pretty easy for Miller to bottle up Mike Weber.
Whiteout crowd in the student section trying to help this Penn State defense come up with a stop. Barrett from the pocket delivers a strike, and that's Marcus Baugh, who had that terrific touchdown reception earlier. It'll set up a 3rd and 5.
That's where the big body of ball, and I'll tell you, he's becoming better and better each week as a receiving threat, as a big tight end. Healthy now, but you set up there in the traffic where all those linebackers are, and really you're trying to get to 3rd and manageable to try to give yourself a chance to pick up the 1st down. It's not about picking up the 1st down on 2nd down. It's to set up J.T. Barrett to give him a chance and open up the playbook a bit once you get to that 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 range.
5 receivers for J.T. and then there's a false start. That was the Right tackle Isaiah Prince backing up quickly.
Yeah.
False start, offense, number 59. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Just the last couple weeks on the road at Camp Randall and tonight here at State College, it's been tough for him. I think of all the offensive linemen that have had to deal with adversity on the road, he's probably been challenged the most because of the crowd and being out there on the edge and kind of guessing a little bit and jumping a little bit on that snap count.
Does change the complexion of the 3rd down call, though, doesn't it? Now they need 10 yards. Barrett buying time, moving around the pocket, and then scampering for another 1st down before he slides down at the Lions 45. Another big play by JT.
The one thing you can't let happen on 3rd down and long with JT Barrett is let him kind of maneuver his way through there without somebody spying him. I'm just shocked to see that they would free him up. Now, they brought a blitz and they rolled the dice a bit to try to get to him, but by bringing that pressure, it's picked up and there's nobody left after he's able to get around the blitz because the line did a nice job of picking up the linebackers.
Got 15 yards in a play that's got to be deflating to this Penn State defense. Making adjustments here, play clock at 2. Barrett keeps it again and left in and ducks down after a 5-yard gain.
We talked about Urban Meyer and Ed Warner trying to take the wear and tear off of JT Barrett tonight, and they've done a very good job up to this point. He's carried it 10 times tonight, but in comparison to just the hits that he took against Indiana and especially on the road last week against Wisconsin, it's been a very, very different game, and I think intentionally done by the Buckeyes, where they've relied more on Mike Weber and some of the other players.
Yeah, totally agree. He hasn't really been tuned up like the Badgers were doing.
Yep.
But he has been clutch in these scrambles. Barrett trying to elude, can't get away that time. They came around on the backside, and that was Garrett Sickles, who's made an impact here in the 3rd quarter.
Second time we've called his name, and he just fights with Jamarco Jones. He's out here. He'll get involved in a battle here, but he's just relentless with his attitude. You can see he just doesn't give up on the play. He fights through not just Jones, but Michael Jordan. Watch the left guard try to come over and help. But Sickles, 6'4", 260, was on the opposite side of Carl Nassib a year ago, so has played a lot of football, and that time that attitude pays off for him.
Remember Nassib, Andre Johnson, Anthony Zettel, they're all in the NFL. You got 3, actually 4 defensive linemen if you count Tyrone Barney is on the Jets practice squad. Barrett to a wide open Weber, give him a little cushion, and he's shoved out on the Penn State sideline inside the 40 by Farmer. It'll be 4th down.
And bringing that linebacker blitz again. This time it was Jason Kabinda up the middle. Ohio State picked it up, but JT Barrett checks it down, and it's another one of those situations where it puts Urban Meyer in a position because he's not going to kick a field goal here. He's going to take this chance and go for it. But those yards that they just picked up there on 3rd down give them a chance. The zone read, the quarterback run game, usually what they go to in this area.
Lions desperately in need of a 4th down stop. The Buckeyes could move the chains here, add to this lead as the clock winds down, and they take a timeout here to consult about this 4th down call. Important play coming up with the Buckeyes now up 14.
Fourth down.
Buckeyes send the punt team out. They took a 5-yard penalty instead of a timeout there. And so Urban Meyer electing to try to play percentage football, and why not? Cam Johnson is so good at knocking it dead, and Penn State down by a couple of touchdowns, pinned deep now.
Urban Meyer typically goes for that.
Penn State had a touchdown drive just before halftime, but Ohio State's defense, other than that drive, has been pretty dominant tonight. Lions backed up. There's 7. Feed Barkley. And he kind of cuts back and will lose a yard. Barkley has had a lot of runs this year trapped behind the line of scrimmage as the guys up front have struggled to block for him, and he's avoided frustration. He's got a great attitude about it. He says it doesn't want to reflect any frustration because it won't make the guys up front feel good about blocking for him. Huh?
How refreshing is that attitude from a young superstar running back?
Mature beyond his years. He's got it again. Spins for about 7. It'll be third manageable.
Yeah, early in the year especially. I think it was a combination of the young offensive line gelling and him maybe dancing around a little bit too much, looking for the big play, trying to live up to some of the preseason hype. And I think the last couple games, and even at times tonight, it's been more of just him getting the football and just lowering his shoulder and trying to pick up 4, 5, or 6 yards.
Lions need 3. Buckeyes defense in an aggressive posture. McSorley takes off, escapes, and slips as he tries to make a cut. He's right in front of Jerome Baker. You can see the frustration, and they'll have to punt.
Well, he slipped, but the guy he's trying to shake, Jerome Baker, is a linebacker that Urban Meyer and Luke Fickell and Greg Schiano just smile when they talk about him. Runs a 4-4 playing linebacker. He's a tough guy to shake in the open field for any quarterback, and losing his footing obviously didn't help him, but Baker's a big-time player.
Don't even know if he needed to get around Baker to get the first down, though, but he cost himself a chance. And so here's Blake Gillikin at the goal line. This snap is not high, but low. He does handle it and get it away. And Wilson makes a hesitant fair catch at the 44. Kirk, it's a final from Wrigley Field, and the Chicago Cubbies are World Series bound as they close it out in 6, a shutout for Kyle Hendricks.
Emphatically beating Clayton Kershaw, arguably the best pitcher in baseball. 5 innings, gives up 4 earned runs. And how about the Cubs? Again, Reds fan, happy for the Cubs. Love to see it. Hope they keep going.
You got to feel good, though, about both teams in the World Series. It'll begin in Cleveland, and the Indians obviously trying to build a great sports year in that city.
That's going to be a great series. And the Indians, and the way they've done it in the postseason, they've become the charm team. That'll be a heck of a series. Look forward to watching that.
I know who Urban Meyer's going to be pulling for. He's a huge Tribe fan.
Oh, yeah.
Ashtabula, Ohio, New Cleveland. This is Samuel, the big 74-yard touchdown run. This time goes to the left and is dropped for a loss. Kirk, I don't know, Buckeye State having a pretty good sports year. Cavs, Buckeyes very much in the hunt. Tribe. World Series.
Tribe still alive.
There's all kind of things in minor league baseball that come into play too. The Blue Jackets are going to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, everything's
now you're talking. Now you're talking.
I've gone too far.
I remember Ohio State won the national championship a couple years ago. Cavs made the finals, 2 years ago before winning it all.
JT dumps it down. That's Weber's turn to slip and slide out of bounds at the 43. This is Urban Meyer tweeting his support. Lou, Griffin and the Cavs drop by to talk to the team, deliver an inspirational speech about championships.
There's a great relationship between Urban Meyer, the Ohio State football team, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, mainly because of LeBron James and how much LeBron loves Ohio State, makes it very, very well known, his support for the Buckeyes. So I think the feeling is mutual from the Cavs and the Buckeyes.
3rd and 11. This time they do drop back and spy Bear, but that opens things up for Marcus Baugh, who makes the catch and gets the first down.
We'll keep talking about how they working the middle of that defense with Baugh, and he can do things after the catch. See the nose guard drops there, little zone blitz, not affecting the throw. He tried to get his hand up on the ball, but going to be impressed with how Marcus Baugh catches it and then knows where to go for the first down.
And now Weber, a short gain. The Buckeyes continue to build that momentum and perhaps bleed away some of the will of this Penn State defense in the final minute of the 3rd quarter with another 3rd down conversion there.
Mike Weber is one of those backs like a lot of power backs, the more they get the football in their hands, the more they like that. They get better, they get stronger as the game goes on.
He's run for 62, Kirk. He's caught 5 passes through the big block you highlighted on touchdown run by Samuel. JT pursued and dropped by Sickles. A flag comes down, but Sickles, his second sack after sitting out that first half.
Yeah, they got to
come back with a vengeance, huh?
Big time.
It's a holding penalty. And tonight on ESPN after a full day of football.
Holding. Offense number 59. Penalties declined. Brings up 3rd down.
Sports Center at night. Cole Briscoe, John Buccigross. Had those NLCS highlights. All the college football stuff that you need. And again, if you're just tuning over for a little football after watching the Cubs clinch, we welcome you to Happy Valley. Ohio State scoring 9 points in the 3rd quarter. A safety and a touchdown run to build on what was a 5-point halftime lead, and trying to stretch it now as the 3rd quarter winds down. Barrett, shovel pass inside. It's a different look. It's Noah Brown, a receiver, something we haven't seen a lot from them this year. And that'll be the final play of the 3rd quarter as the Buckeyes try to march to building a 14-point lead. They hope will be another playoff season. A couple of big Big Ten showdowns to come for Ohio State, assuming they can get out of here with this lead. Johnston, methodical, waited a while, and that time boots it deep at the 10-yard line. AT&T Inside Access takes you to Nittanyville, which used to be called Paternoville, where the students pitch those tents. It was warm weather earlier this week. James Franklin passing out refreshments. This is what they do to queue up to get the best spots in the student section. And they are huddled together, trying to keep hope alive over there. We knew it'd be kind of a mix of Halloween and whiteout tonight, Kirk, over there in the student section.
Yeah, they're still holding out.
Are they still the finest student section in America? You labeled them that.
I did. And
they're proud of that now. You can take that title back from them?
No.
Okay.
It's just to reevaluate, over time.
Oh, all right. It's a fluid thing. It's like the rankings.
Right.
McSorley takes off and flips it to a wide open Gesicki, who fell down, had nothing but space in front of him.
Chris, he just got lost in coverage.
Look, he's still limping, Kirk, too.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, if he keeps his feet there, that's a 30 or 40-yard gain.
He got 16. And you can see that after leaving the game early with an ankle problem, he's far from 100%, trying to tough it out. And now Barkley with a burst. Barkley gets away and gallops down inside the 40. He got right around Malik Hooker, the normally reliable safety.
Well, it's a zone read. They're reading Bosa, but watch the block here by the right tackle. Man, double team, climbs up to the linebacker. That's what freed Barkley there, but they read the defensive end, Nick Bosa, and the tackle getting up to that linebacker opened up a nice running lane that time for Saquon Barkley.
He got hit hard at the end of the run by Worley there. He's out of the game, and Miles Sanders, the freshman, is in as McSorley fakes it to him and now goes downfield, looping throw. Blacknall has got it inside the 5. Saeed Blacknall beat Marshawn Lattimore.
I think Ohio State is all of a sudden taking their eye off the ball here and losing a little bit of their aggression. Ball goes up in the air, and Blacknall does a good job waiting on it. Somehow holds on to that football. A progressive highline cam there gives you a really good view of him holding on to the football.
After a 37-yard run by Barkley, a 35-yard pass play sets the Lions up at the 2. Quarterback keeper and misfire. Gesicki was wide open, and Trace would like to have that back.
This is what you talk about when you have linebackers like this looking in the backfield. You look in the backfield, you completely lose your responsibility, slide it right behind. He's wide open.
That wasn't a little off, Kirk. That was a lot off.
Yeah.
This guy's 6'6", and he has a huge catch radius.
Absolutely.
Barkley back in the game on 2nd and goal. Again, quarterback rolling out, chased by Worley and diving for the pylon. Touchdown. Trace McSorley makes up for the misfire by taking it in himself, and Penn State still in it.
What great speed to get around the edge there, around Worley and also Raekwon McMillan. They knew he was going to keep that football. It was a foot race. Another look at the progressive pylon cam. They knocked it out there, but look at that race right there. How about Penn State? Back against the wall. Fans are a little bit lukewarm on thinking about a possibility of a comeback here in the 4th quarter. 5 plays, 90 yards for the touchdown.
They'll double check to make sure that he got in, but that does kind of sum up Trace McSorley. He's not a guy that's got elite arm talent. He's a good runner, but they call him a winner, a guy that the team gravitates around.
They go to 4 straight state championship games.
55-5. They went to 4 straight title games. Let's see, is the nose across as the knee touches down? That's what they're looking at. It's any part of the football over the front part of that white line. It's very close. Down there, the angle is a little bit deceptive from that camera. Dave Kataya is our expert up here. Jim Kemmerling's taking a look in the replay booth. Dave, well, how did you see this?
Well, you've got a really close shot with that great pylon cam.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Which I agree with. That point of the ball looks like it's over. There's not enough to show any green between that white line of the touchdown and the field of play.
McSorley was excited there. Joe Moorhead, and wise old offensive coordinator, says good job calming him down. It's got to feel pretty good, Kirk, as a quarterback who made a very poor throw and a wide open touchdown. To just take it in yourself the next play.
Well, the big run by the running back opened it up, and then the play downfield, and just like that, they're in the end zone. For any young quarterback to look up to, and I think Trace McSorley should be proud of what he just did in engineering that drive. 5 plays and 90 yards to get a touchdown, get his team within 1 possession now. I mean, this game felt a lot worse than a 2-possession game because Ohio State's kind of taking control, but in the blink of an eye, McSorley and Barkley lead the Lions downfield, and now it's a 1-possession game. Crowd back in the game.
How many of those fans thought the Lions were going to go 90 yards in 5 plays to cut it to 7? High snap. Barrett corrals it out of the ball to the ground, and Penn State says they have it. Weber may have gotten the ball back after a mishandled exchange, as Ohio State does have the ball and dodges disaster.
Yeah, it looked like Manny Bowen, number 43, the outside linebacker, along with Mike Weber, went after the football. And it looked like Bowen had a chance. He comes off to the right. Ball is on the ground right there. Watch them both go for it. And Mike Weber uses that strength definitely to get the football back for Ohio State. They catch a break.
How about that high snap, bad timing. Offensive lineman actually bumps into Weber and forces the fumble.
Sloppy execution.
Buckeyes have only lost 2 fumbles on the season. Now the Lions bring pressure. JT steps away and delivers, and it's a catch made by Baugh. Short gain, but again, the Lions can't quite get 16 to the ground.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of mixing up the looks here. There's Marcus Baugh, who's really been one of his go-to targets tonight, throwing the football, limping off. But again, the pressure, that time it was 43, Manny Bowen bringing that outside linebacker pressure off to the right of JT Barrett.
Baugh got rolled up on the ankle, so he's out on this 3rd and 10. And the Penn State defense trying to rise up and get the ball back, build on this momentum.
And with ball out, it takes away where JT Barrett's had success in the interior between the linebackers in that 10 to 12-yard range.
You gotta hurry. Urban Meyer called a timeout as the play clock was winding down to 2, so he'll spend one here to keep it at 3rd and 10. Penn State with a quick strike trying to build on this.
Football presented by Walmart. Save money, live better. Saturday Night Football presented by Walmart. Save money, live better. And in part by Firestone. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
Find it interesting that Urban Meyer, during these crucial timeouts, he walks away, completely away from the huddle, talking to the guys upstairs. I mean, he's very little dance move there. I mean, he is locked in with Ed Warner upstairs, communicating with what he wants, but away from the offensive huddle.
Ed Warner and Tim Becker upstairs, combining on the play calling as you see Ball hobbling over, not available in this third down play.
Keep in mind, Garrett Sickles, number 90, has been a force here in this second half. He's up at the top there.
Samuel slot near right. Barrett has to step up, elude pressure again, keeps his eyes downfield, and now will just run out of bounds short of the first down. Ryan Buchholz, one of the backup defensive ends, gave chase, and Penn State's defense gets a stop.
The two defensive ends, Sickles and Schwann, do a good job of collapsing, but the Penn State defense does a good job not letting J.T. Barrett escape into the pocket and have room to run for that first down, and great coverage downfield by the secondary. The Lions are going to get the ball back.
Cameron Johnston, steady punter, more than steady, he's spectacular, he's a weapon, but it's blocked by Penn State. The ball will be turned over inside the 30-yard line. Troy Apke, a backup safety, collects it, and Penn State special teams makes a huge play.
That looked like the freshman Cam Brown, 31, who might have got a hand on the football. Johnston, who is one of the best punters, Chris, much 31. He's a true freshman. It's 6'5", 220 pounds. He got his right hand on it to knock that ball away. And Penn State, again, looking to capitalize on a huge opportunity.
Johnston is everything you'd want in a punter, but a little methodical there, rugby style, and the Aussie cannot believe it. Terrific play by that rangy freshman Brown. Would you have believed this turnaround? Lions a touchdown away from tying this game. Gesicki stays on his feet and gets inside the 20. He's playing hurt, but he's still contributing.
We talk about Marcus Ball being a tremendous athlete as a tight end. Gesicki, even with the hurt ankle, goes up into the air, and because he's so long, he's able to extend for an 8-yard gain.
Barkley dances free and cannot escape. Couldn't get the corner because Tyquan Lewis chased him down, but grabbed him with a horse collar and draws the flag.
Yeah, that's definitely a horse collar by Lewis. He's trying to make sure that Barkley doesn't get to the edge. Loses containment just a bit. Right there, grabs onto the jersey.
Horse collar tackle. Defense number 59. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
He didn't want to give up that edge, but in the process, he grabs the back of that jersey, which is an automatic horse collar and a 15-yard penalty. Down to the 10-yard line now.
He grabbed just above the number, not the neck, which you typically see when you get that call. Moves the ball, as you said, to the 10-yard line, and Penn State incredibly, improbably trying to tie this game.
All right, that's not.
McSorley dropped for a loss. Dave, what did you start to say?
Well, you take a look at that. He's got the back of the jersey below the collar line. He's got to have his finger in the collar line or in the shoulder pad. Looks to me like it's below.
McSorley will lose 6 yards after that penalty, so suddenly 2nd and goal from way back at the 16. McSorley pressured, tries to escape on the far side, a short gain, and now a 3rd and goal.
It's an interesting point, Dave. I think anytime we see a defender grab onto the back of a jersey, the assumption is a horse collar. You're saying his hand needs to go up to be able to pull that down.
Well, you could see about 4 inches of daylight from that collar and where the grab is.
Now Gesicki, big option here at tight end.
You can see him there lined up to the left.
They've also had some success to Godwin at the top, just kind of throwing the fade up, trying to make a play one-on-one.
Kirk, they got Denzel Ward matched up one-on-one at the top of the formation, but they took too much time there, so they had to spend a timeout. After the block punt, Penn State moved to 1st and goal, then went backwards, facing 3rd and goal from the 16 now. Well, Big Ten stuff here. Penn State. What's the call, Kirk? You on 3rd and goal from the 16 here.
I think you take a shot to Godwin up at the top.
McSorley, he looked that way. Now he's running for his life and just has to fire it away. They gave him some help over there, didn't they, Buckeyes?
Yeah, and Ohio State, I think, is anticipating the same thing. They had 2 different defenders dropping with Godwin. Remember, it's 3rd down. You're going to take a shot in the end zone, either to tight end Gesicki or to Godwin, who's already gone up and over Conley for a touchdown. Ohio State waiting on it, had 2 defenders there to take him away, and all he could do was throw it away.
So here's Tyler Davis, whose first attempt from 39 was blocked. His first miss after 18 consecutive makes. This from 34 yards. And he knocks it right through. But after the block punt from Penn State special teams, they don't get the tying touchdown, have to settle for 3. But they're chipping away at things and very much alive in this 4th quarter. The most pleasant surprises in the country. Not many people thought the Mountaineers are going to be sitting there in the playoff mix as the second half of the season begins.
Yeah, and the schedule that they have in the back end, it started with TCU, but there's some big games still coming up. But Dana Holgorsen said earlier this week this could be one of the better teams that he's had since he's been in Morgantown, and playing great defense with Tony Gibson, the defensive coordinator.
Sooners coming in a couple weeks, I think, and then Baylor down the stretch.
Yeah.
Julius with the kickoff, and Campbell 2 yards deep, bringing it out. Paris Campbell can't escape, and the Lions coverage team does a nice job there. Von Walker on the tackle. Now tomorrow morning 10 Eastern on ESPN, NFL Insiders, followed by Sunday NFL Countdown right up to kickoff. And on Monday nights from Mile High Stadium, Von Miller and the Broncos will try to get after Brock Osweiler. Coverage begins at 6 with Monday Night Countdown.
Really, really interesting point in this game with 9:28 to go. The Penn State offense had that 5-play, 90-yard drive. They get the block punt. Defense is starting to gain some confidence. Let's see J.T. Barrett and the Buckeyes on how they attack. Penn back a little bit deeper in their territory than they had hoped.
Marcus Baukirk is back in the game. He just went in motion there, the tight end. Quick penetration. Weber just barely escaped the backfield, but then runs that out for a 7-yard gain.
They keep shooting the blitz with Manny Bowen. He almost got to J.T. Barrett. I think J.T. Barrett, the last thing he's thinking about on his own read is a guy jumping him from behind, but right there he almost did. He just got the ball handed off there to Mike Weber.
Weber picks his way and moves the sticks for the first down across the 23.
Urban Meyer would hope that the Ohio State offensive line would be able to kind of assert themselves better tonight, control the line of scrimmage, run the power running game, be able to sustain some long drives. But Penn State playing in this atmosphere with a very gritty attitude tonight, making it tough on Ohio State in their running game.
Urban would love one of those long, grinding 6-7 minute drives to bleed the clock and perhaps build on the lead. But Weber stuffed immediately by Sickles.
Well, Garrett Sickles, who missed the first half, he's held out in the first half. He has been all over the field here in the second half. Has 8 tackles now, 3.5 tackles for a loss, 2.5 sacks. I mean, he's been all over the field.
He missed some classes in the bye week and had to sit out the first half, but he is coming back with a vengeance here in the final 30 minutes. JT from the pocket now. Delivers across the middle. Brown's running free. Noah Brown, a big catch and run into Penn State territory. And the Buckeyes in business again.
Watch how J.T. Barrett does a good job here of actually moving the linebacker. Does a nice job with Bell. See the eyes right there, moves him to the left, opens up the vacancy right there to Noah Brown. But it's the eyes to the left shoulders. That moves Brandon Bell, and then it creates that opening where Noah Brown is coming into. Well done by J.T. Barrett.
Rick, that was a 34-yard gain, the longest pass play tonight. Penn State #1 in the country, fewest big pass plays allowed. That's a rarity. And an enormous play to improve field position. Weber for a short gain. It's quiet at the crowd now.
Yeah, it sure did. I'll tell you, there's some big collisions down there.
It's Ohio State, Penn State. What do you expect, my friend?
Absolutely. Mike Weber is. There's Ball again checking himself out with looks like that foot injury or ankle injury. But this kid, Mike Weber, this is really one of the first games where he has been asked to get on the road and carry the ball 20-plus times in a physical game, holding up well.
Weber's got it again. He's knocked down. Talking to some of the Buckeyes players and staff about Weber's evolution from a guy that maybe didn't work as hard as you're expected to work when you're a starting running back at Ohio State. Some of the leadership with the team, Barrett and others got with him, and he's come around in a huge way.
Yeah, and again, I keep going back to Zeke Elliott, but one of the great things about Zeke was not just being a star running back, but he took a lot of pride in trying to work with Mike Weber and some of the other running backs to try to teach them about work ethic and what it takes to be the starting running back at Ohio State.
You need 2 on this 3rd down. Barrett running all the way. All that window dressing with those receivers trip left. You know the quarterback's going to take it up the middle.
If he's back there by himself, he's more often than not in those short yardage situations. You know it's coming. You still can't slow it down. Most often he picks up the first down.
Penn State defensive coaches scouting Ohio State, noting that empty backfield is really one of their favorite formations.
Crowd is frustrated by the spot. Let's see where he goes down.
I think he safely made it across the line.
Forward progress gives him the first down.
Look about Barrett after halftime, just like last week on the road in Madison. Terrific second half. 9 for 9 here, 83 yards passing, and some big runs. That time threw it behind Baugh, who was struggling on that leg. Couldn't make a cut, move back to it.
You've got to admire both these tight ends tonight. Gesicki has fought through an ankle injury, and now we're seeing Marcus Ball, he and Barrett trying to get on the same page there. So important with where Ohio State is in their passing game, without the ability to just have that explosive play. It's the interior where they're attacking, and Ball is a big part, along with Noah Brown, on how they're throwing the football tonight. And to lose him would really hurt J.T. Barrett in the passing game.
Great point. Both tight ends are sucking up. They know the value to the team, and they're trying to play through some pain tonight. This is Samuel. It's a backwards pass, and he spins, is knocked down hard. Sharif Miller made the tackle and goes inside the 30. It'll be 3rd and long.
Good support there by Golden's, the safety 6. Ohio State and Urban Meyer is part of their offense. They stretch you horizontally. Try to set up sometimes once they stretch you horizontally, then they'll try to come back in their passing game in between those middle linebackers.
Empty backfield again on 3rd and 7.
Ohio State sideline going crazy trying to get the play chain for J.T. Barrett.
And Barrett right down the middle, almost intercepted. He lofted the ball up, and John Reed, the corner, was the closest on making a play. McLaurin was the receiver.
And what they saw, why they were going crazy, is they had a one-on-one opportunity with McLaurin to be able to try to win against John Reed. You know, they've not gone downfield vertically, but I think they felt that McLaurin had a chance because of the formation to be able to create a little bit of a rub route and to get behind him. But give Reed a lot of credit for being able to avoid other Ohio State receiver and be in position. Almost came up with the interception.
Urban thought about it. Now they're going to rush the field goal team out here because this is a career-long attempt for Tyler Durbin, who's super reliable inside of 40. This is from 45, and it's blocked. Lions scoop it up. Brad Haley will score. Marcus Allen made the block. The veteran safety. Haley scooped it up, and Penn State incredibly has the lead.
And Urban Meyer, usually special teams, such a strength for Ohio State. They've had the block punt, now the blocked field goal, this one for a touchdown.
.427 to play. Davis to make it a 3-point lead, and nothing is automatic on a night like this with the special teams. Able to get it up and through. First half was a special teams disaster for Penn State. Serious atonement as this blocked field goal has given the Lions the lead.
See him get airborne to knock that ball down, and the presence of mind of Haley to pick that ball up and to be able to have the speed to take it all the way to the end zone.
An enormous block at Beaver Stadium. Franklin and the Lions are up. 4:27 left.
Back to that 5-play 90-yard drive of McSorley when the Lions were pretty much down and out at 21-7. Crowds out of the game, and that all of a sudden sparked them and led to that block punt, and next thing you know, the Penn State is believing that they can pull off the upset.
It was a great play by Alan Kirk, but you wonder if Meyer is questioning. They took a long time to make a decision to trot out a long field goal attempt by Durbin, maybe not quite organized. Julius give Campbell a chance, but he drops the ball, has to pick it up, and Paris Campbell knocked down at the 11-yard line. So another good job by the Lions special teams. There's a block again.
Yeah, go back to Marcus Allen. See him in the back. He gets a running start. Not only does he go up, but he goes through the line. He actually jumped into the line. He didn't get up on top of anybody, but he used his acceleration to allow him to get up into the air and then also towards the kicker. And look at McSorley.
Show him the grill, as they say. That's what the guys call that celebration.
Remember, your legacy as JT Barrett is your intangibles, your leadership, the game's on the line. You're the X factor. You make great decisions. He's got another potential chapter here. Let's see what he does with 4:21 left.
Haley, who had the touchdown, starting corner, not in the game right now. They're giving him a breather. Barrett chased immediately, escapes again, eyes downfield, but he'll just scoot out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Lions are getting after the quarterback.
A miscommunication on the offensive line by Ohio State on the right side with Billy Price and Isaiah Prince. Remember, Ohio State has had trouble last week and this week with Jamarco Jones, the left tackle, and Isaiah Prince, the right tackle, with outside pressure. It's been a concern for them, sometimes causing them to jump a little bit, a little early. But right now, Penn State with Schwann 94 and Sickles 90, they have cranked up the outside pressure on Barrett.
JT got to hurry here. Just gets it away from the pocket, delivers to Samuel. Stepped out of bounds before he was shoved out by a defender. It'll be 3rd down and short.
Stays in bounds there.
Is there some green between the shoe and the line? Didn't matter. He got knocked
talking
out
about another yard,
yeah.
maybe. Penn State, again, they're not feeling threatened downfield at all. It's really about Ohio State. They're trying to keep everything in front and trying to rally to the football.
They're still making do without Haley. The corner is getting a breather after that scooped up block field goal. JT takes off. A flag though, false start before the play, so hold on. Nobody could hear the whistle and the noise, but
the tight end moved, who was outflanked as a receiver ball that time.
False start. Offense number 85. 5-yard penalty. We play third down.
Another tough environment. This Ohio State offense has executed pretty well tonight, but that could be crucial.
Well, that is what Urban Meyer wants on 3rd down and 4. That's the kind of call where you can run the quarterback, and that would have been a first down. But now, because ball jumps, now you push him back. See him at the middle, at the top up here. Just jumps a little early here. Now you're looking at 3rd and 9.
Does JT have some more magic? Lions rush 4. Barrett has to step up and delivers over the middle to Samuel, and they move the sticks. Clutch.
But I tell you, Curtis Samuel has made some big plays here. He's going to work into the middle here. Does a great job. And how about JT Barrett? Watch him work in the pocket. Keeps his focus downfield, and a nice job of finding Curtis Samuel. Look at the eyes. He knows exactly where he wants to go with the ball, but to be able to maneuver around inside that pocket, keep his focus downfield, that's a big-time play there.
Good catch, too, because Marcus Allen hit Samuel as soon as the ball arrived. They get 14 on 3rd and 9. And now Barrett again just dumps it off short. Took a brief look downfield, Kirk, but again just has to check it down to Weber.
Yeah, Penn State taking away anything that might be downfield. Again, if you're Brent Fry, the defensive coordinator, that's the message to this defense. They've played very well. I don't think, again, they feel threatened by the vertical pass, but they want to keep everything in front and then rally to the football here. Getting now close to 2 minutes with Ohio State still 2 timeouts remaining.
Exactly, Kirk, but with this clock running, this is beginning to feel like, who knows, perhaps Ohio State's last chance. Barrett chased again flips it to Weber, who works the sidelines and will dive out of bounds across the 30. Be 3rd and short now.
Penn State getting tremendous pressure. They're not even blitzing here. It's just they're rushing 4 and whipping the Ohio State offensive line in pass protection. It's very, very hard to execute in a passing game when a defensive line is doing a good job of getting pressure with 4, and they've got 7 guys looking into the eyes of JT Barrett without a vertical passing game. Makes it pretty hard on the quarterback. Man-to-man across the board here.
Empty backfield again, and once again Barrett has to hurry. Snaps it at 2. Delivers. No, the catch is made. Wilson just able to make the catch as the Lions were jumping and trying for the pick.
Well, I thought Malik Golden 6. Watch him coming from center field. He gets a jump on it. He comes in just a little bit late. JT Barrett does a good job of getting the ball out of his hands quickly, and he put it in a spot where Wilson could protect the football with his body.
So Barrett has made 2 clutch plays to keep this drive alive. Approaching a minute and a half left. Blitz again. Barrett just has to throw the ball away to avoid a sack. Pressure from Sharif Miller.
This time Penn State actually bringing the blitz. They are mixing up this looks for the offensive line, doing a good job of mixing up coverage downfield. You see Manny Bowen here, the outside linebacker gets in there, almost affects him. They chase him out of the pocket. Miller almost gets to him, and Barrett very, very fortunate to keep that play alive and just be able to throw it away to stop the clock and not have the sack and have to use a timeout.
The guys have already taken 3 minutes to move 31 yards. Barrett going downfield, taking a deep shot, and it's off the helmet. James Clark was out there, then a bounce off his head. Jordan Smith was in coverage.
It was a great throw. I don't know if he lost the football. The ball bounced on, looked like off of his forehead, right off of his helmet. Ball is thrown right on the money here. Right hand he uses to pull down here, right off the face mask.
The arm pulled just before the ball got there by Jordan Smith. Just a split second, but not enough to draw a flag. 3rd and 10. Buckeye fans, of course, will scream for interference, but that was close. Barrett sacked. Jason Cabinda got him. It's 4th and real long.
They slant the defensive line this way, and they bring Cabinda around to the right of Isaiah Prince, 59. See how he collapsed down? Made it easy for Cabinda to come down. Well-designed blitz there by Penn State, and Brent Fry, and the leader who has missed the last 4 games, comes up with a huge play for the Nittany Lion defense.
And Ohio State, Kurt, is going to have to convert on 4th and real long because they were so methodical in this drive. You and I were watching the clock bleed away. It took a long time to get things going here. They don't have enough time now to punt it away and stop Penn State. They're going to have to try to convert on 4th and 23.
Well, especially with only 1 timeout. You really don't have much of a choice here. You've got to come up with a play. You got to figure out a way, I'm sure. Think about all the playmakers that you have. Curtis Samuel, you would think, gives you your best chance to come up with a play designed for him.
You're talking about a football program that's still trying to emerge from sanctions, from shame. It has not had a signature win under James Franklin. They've beaten the people they're supposed to beat. They've not beaten the teams they're not expected to beat. Tonight would certainly fall into that category. A 20-point underdog at home, down 14, entering the 4th quarter. 1 defensive play away from perhaps securing that breakthrough landmark victory. 4th and 23. Barrett steps up, pressured again and dropped. And Penn State is going to get their signature win on a whiteout night in Happy Valley. Thanks to special teams and a pass rush and just enough clutch offensive plays.
It's Garrett Sickles and Evan Schwan. They've done it all night, coming off the edge. Force J.T. Barrett to step up into the pocket, and there's nowhere for him to go.
Turk, has the biggest surprise been to you Ohio State offensive line's inability to control Penn State's front?
Yeah, and I think, you know, if you look at the last 2 weeks against Indiana and Wisconsin, I'm sure that's a big part of Urban Meyer and Ed Warner's frustration.
An O-line that had given up 5 sacks all season, give up 5 in the second half to Penn State.
Yeah. When you can't throw the ball downfield and you can't control the line of scrimmage to run the football, that makes it really tough on a play caller to be able to come up with it. But right now, this is more about James Franklin and Penn State and what they overcame tonight. And as you said, you use a victory like this could be a game changer for this program and where they're trying to take this program. And they had some seniors step up, come back for some injuries tonight.
Cabinda there, he's one of them.
Yeah. Of course, Jason Cabinda. This was an all-in effort by the Lions, who were down 21-7 and found a way to fight back and win this football game.
59 seconds until the Ford wrap-up show. On a night that Penn State fans and these players will not forget. That was Marcus Allen who made the block of the field goal. This buddy Grant Haley took 60 yards for a touchdown. McSorley in shotgun victory formation as the seconds tick down. Kirk, could we watch this playoff race unfold? Haven't really had an upset that really shakes things up until tonight, as number 2 is going to go down.
Yep. It always happens. Every year you think you have an idea of how things are going to play out, and they never quite do. And this is the big upset, the first domino. But again, this to me isn't really about the standings or the rankings in the playoff. To me, this is a great football game, and Penn State deserves a lot of credit for the way they were able to make plays. Their offense with McSorley didn't look like they were going to have enough tonight, but they did. They came up with it. This is a big one.
Not since 1964 as an unranked Penn State team beating an opponent ranked in the top 2. Way before all these students were born and their parents were born. A night that those here will not forget, the Penn State family. Sam has Coach Franklin.
Well, Chris, I can't hear you. After being an underdog at home, what does this win do for your program?
I'm just happy for our kids. I really am. Just happy for our kids. Kids, the former players that let them in this town has been through a lot. So this is starting our healing process tonight. So couldn't be prouder.
Coach, when you look at the performance that your defensive line had against an impressive offensive line and the penetration that they got tonight, what can you say about their performance?
I want to say something real quick. My niece and nephew, Kendra Jeremy, lost their dad on Tuesday night. And this game and this win is for them as well.
Coach, I appreciate you saying that.
Well, this valley hasn't been this happy in a long time. And there are plenty of heroes and overflowing emotions on the Penn State side. We'll talk about the Ohio State side in a moment because they will feel like they let this game slip away, blew it with special teams blunders. But Penn State showing tremendous resilience